Part 157. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1564. This guy is indeed an evolved beast. It's really amazing. He has such terrifying sensing ability even before he has reached the galaxy level. This creature, after feeling Jia Yan's departure, speeded up again. But the distance is still short after all, and Jia Yan has also started to escape. No matter how slow his speed is, there are almost no obstacles in the gravitational wave channel, plus the speed bonus of the gravitational wave system itself, so Jia Yan's speed at this time was definitely not slow, and it was even close to reaching the speed of the Edish's rapid advancement in deep space. This is what channels are for. Very good. Although the pursuer behind has sped up again, my speed has also gradually increased. In this case, if he wants to catch up with me, at least he will have to leave the realm of the gods. This passage there are no twists and turns, it is directly to the star field leading to the outside world. If this is really the case, then if I escape to the outside world, he will have to worry about doing anything to me again, or in other words, the time to do it will definitely be greatly reduced. Jia Yan felt that if he was caught up by the strong man behind him, he would at least have to wait until he broke out of the gravitational wave channel. Don't ask Jia Yan how he knew it. Before entering the gravitational wave channel, he had already investigated it and got the map, so it's not surprising that he knew this basic issue. This gravitational wave channel has actually been prepared for various accelerations, but the acceleration levels are different. No wonder, the God Emperor must have used some kind of acceleration channel with the highest acceleration level that ordinary creatures don't even know about. Bar. Jia Yan looked at the places where gravitational light shined in the gravitational wave channel. Here he discovered the so-called acceleration channel that he had just heard about. This kind of acceleration channel is built to accelerate movement in gravitational waves, and it cannot be used by ordinary creatures. In the passage, the speed will be faster, but the burden on the body will be much greater. Ordinary creatures, even if they have money and power, will not dare to use it. But even in those open passages, Jia Yan didn't see anything that could cause a creature to reach an astonishing speed of hundreds of light years per hour when entering it. Therefore, he was certain that the coming God Emperor should have used hidden channels, or the God Emperor himself had some means of accelerating gravitational waves. Jia Yan guessed which method it was, but fell into another idea. As for the expressway, if I have a way, I can also use it. Wouldn't it be more beautiful? The method mentioned by Jia Yan is actually very normal, but it is not easy to achieve such a goal. Because of that unique high-speed passage, if it is so easy to enter, how could ordinary creatures not be able to take advantage of it? There is a place like a transit station in front. Jia Yan saw a man-made construction like a passage transfer station not far ahead. It is estimated that in the gravitational wave channel, the harmfulness of gravitational waves has been greatly reduced, otherwise this kind of building would be impossible to build. Here, a creature suspected to be at the level of a God Emperor, came to my place. There are many creatures in this huge building, but because no matter how big the building is, it is difficult for God Emperor level creatures to stay permanently, so the strongest person here is only a God King. It was obvious at first glance that a God King was no match for the creature in front of him. How could he dare to fight Jia Yan? So he quickly contacted the outside world and made an urgent request for help. But the creatures within the communication are also helpless. The creature you are talking about should be Jia Yan, who has just stepped into the gravitational wave channel. If you can't stop him, just let him go. Jia Yan? Isn't this an intruder from the outside? He's not dead yet, no, he's coming towards us. This is not just a matter of letting Jia Yan pass, now people are coming. Hello. When the God King was about to say something more, a calm male voice came from the outside world. It was Jia Yan who rushed here. Jia Yan's brain wave power directly controlled this gravitational wave area in an instant. "Sir, I wonder if there is anything I can do for you." The God King and a group of ordinary creatures with low strength were all in panic, but they quickly calmed down and nodded and bowed to Jia Yan. "After all, I don't dare to think that this so-called outsider is very powerful, but at least this one outside has the strength of the God Emperor. How can they dare to stop him with such emotional power? He was just a mere God King, a powerful person around the middle level of a star. To Jia Yan today, he could almost be killed in one blow. I'm going to get on the expressway. Do you know how to get in?" "Oh, I'm not going to an ordinary expressway, but the highest level one." We can't." The God King had just spoken a word, but he felt an irresistible brainwave force bombarding him. Puff. The God King was hit by this shocking brainwave power almost instantly and was directly injured. At this time, the God King was immediately stunned and did not dare to say any panic at all. In fact, Jia Yan could kill him, because if a God King wanted to embarrass his subordinates behind him, there might be some trouble, but now he wanted his confession. After all, other creatures are not as powerful as this God King. It would be bad if they didn't know how to enter the high-speed channel. "Say it. Big, my lord, I say." After the God King revealed his information, Jia Yan's expression changed slightly. Because this so-called high-speed channel turns out to have entry barriers, especially the kind of super high-speed channel that Jia Yan wants to enter, which must be entered by the God Emperor level, and most of them are almost within the original gravitational wave. And even added countless high-energy things inside the gravitational waves, so as to create a power explosion in the channel, causing the creatures in it to continuously accelerate. However, the power of the explosion is too huge, and ordinary creatures cannot reach it. Entering it at the God Emperor level will definitely lead to death. "Okay, just let me enter the super high passage." The God King looked deeply at Jia Yan, without saying anything, and pressed a certain button. That's how Jia Yan discovered that 1 kilometer away from the gravitational wave channel, there was a gap opening parallel to the gravitational wave channel. "Sir, this is the entrance to the super passage, but it can only be maintained for a period of time. Please enter," the God King said harshly. "Good." Jia Yan didn't even look back and actually got into the super passage. Haha, he entered. He dared to enter such a gravitational wave channel without the presence of the God Emperor. He is simply seeking death. He thought he was the God Emperor. The God King laughed happily. "But, Lord God King, this Jia Yan seems to have really left in the gravitational wave channel, safe and sound. It seems that the speed has reached the speed of the super channel." "What?" When he heard the words of his subordinates, the God King almost spit out blood. He cooperated so much just to let Jia Yan enter the super channel of gravitational waves and die in it. But now, it seems that Jia Yan can even withstand the explosion of the super channel? Is this still the God Emperor? It has reached the level of a God Emperor. No, it should be this Jia Yan who has a way to fight against gravitational waves? Don't worry, he doesn't know how to get out of the gravitational wave channel, so he can only persist until he reaches the natural interruption of the gravitational wave channel, which is the periphery of our spiritual domain. Only then can he get out of the gravitational wave. After such a long time of explosion, bombardment, even if he has some talent or something, he will definitely die. He is not the true God Emperor. I don't believe he can persist. Yes, Lord God King is really good at predicting things. Several of his subordinates were also good at flattering him, and they flattered the God King with just a few words. "Lord God King, there is another group of people coming from behind. Should we go over and intercept them?" "Interception? No need. My strength is seriously injured now. I will definitely not be able to intercept the stronger team. Anyway, Those moving in this gravitational wave channel are not those who violate the law and discipline. Forget it. The God King believed that the most important thing at the moment was his own injury. If anyone else came, just let them pass. Just when the God King ignored him, a group of ordinary battleships and ordinary spaceships flew past this area. Haha, this ordinary battleship is actually rich enough to fly through the gravitational wave channel. It must cost a lot of money to know that there are so many people. The God King smiled slightly, but didn't pay much attention. But what he didn't know was that the group of battleships and fleets flying past him were actually the subordinates of the Jiayan who injured him just now. Of course, even if he knew, it might not be a blessing, because if he was injured, even if he tried hard, he might just be killed by those Jiayan subordinates. Maybe it would be better not to find out. Haha, we are here, and the building just now didn't check us. It seems that the inspection in this gravitational wave channel is not too strict. That's right. After all, the speed we travel in gravitational waves is actually very fast. If he intercepts it, we will slow down and speed up later. They don't care if we slow down, but we speed up. In fact, the spirit realm has to find a way to dissipate the energy, so if they don't stop it, they generally won't. I see. A group of Jiayan subordinates didn't know that Jiayan was here just now and almost killed a God King. I don't know how Your Excellency is doing at this time. He is faster than us, he should be not far ahead. Why is he in such a hurry? Who knows? What the subordinates didn't know was that Jiayan was no longer in front of them. Instead, it entered a super-gravitational wave channel, advancing rapidly at a speed that its subordinates could not understand at all. Bang bang bang. The bright gravitational wave channel at the rear was exploding behind Jiayan all the time. Jiayan only felt that his speed suddenly accelerated as soon as he entered the gravitational wave channel. After all, traveling in a dedicated astonishing passage, this is already a speed that only the God Emperor can enjoy, and of course it is extremely fast. He doesn't know how fast he is now, but he just understands that the God Emperor chasing after him is still faster than him even if he seems to use some unique method, but it is not too fast anymore. According to this calculation, he also reached a speed of at least 100 light-years at a time. This is so fast. In less than a few hours, I can break out of the realm of the gods. The guy behind me can't catch up with me. Hurry up. I just feel like this explosion is really hurtful. Jiayan felt that the continuously advancing explosive force behind him was a bit too much. He could easily withstand 1 or 2 blows, but they kept coming, and even though his blue defense had been turned on to the maximum, he still felt a little overwhelmed. Jiayan's defense is already relatively strong, but it is still a bit unbearable, and this passage can be used by all God Emperors, so it can be seen that even if he is now very close to the God Emperor, but it is still far behind. If it's a lot worse, it can only be tolerated. Jiayan looked around. Under the constant explosions, his speed was very fast, but he couldn't see where he could fly out of the gravitational wave channel. This shows that he is unlikely to leave the gravitational wave channel before the super channel is completely completed. Just grit your teeth and endure it. You should be able to endure it. Jiayan, you have to have confidence in yourself. The gravitational wave channels around Jiayan were constantly exploding, and everything in the space was invisible. The colorful brilliance continued to accelerate, and his speed soon exceeded the normal speed of the super channel. Speed. Buzz buzz. The auditory organs and other organs began to feel like hallucinations. Jiayan could hardly stand the super passage. As he continued to endure it, he felt great discomfort. But even if he felt uncomfortable, he still had to endure it. I don't know how long it took, but Jiayan suddenly felt that the passage in front of him seemed to have suddenly lost the smooth feeling of a super passage. Even the explosion behind him suddenly disappeared. The pressure within the gravitational waves becomes very small. What? Jia Yan didn't know how long it had been before he came back to his senses in a daze. Looking around, a glimmer of light flashed in the eyes of the giant mosquito. Then, in a dark space, a front foot thrust out suddenly. Behind the front feet is a glorious space. And in this glorious space, any creature with eyesight will find that it is actually the common natural channel for super light travel known to many cosmic creatures, gravitational waves. The great realm of spirits, I finally left. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1565. The world in front of me no longer has the unique feeling of the great realm of gods. After all, within the great realm of the gods, it is the region of the gods. Even if it looks like it is no different from the outside world, for the strong, you can feel the deep flavor of the gods inside. But now, Jia Yan can't feel any scent of gods. This means that this place should not belong to the inner realm of the gods. Even if it is not in other star realms, it is definitely a buffer between the two star realms. For two star regions, a buffer place is definitely needed. Between each star realm, there will definitely be a similar buffer place, and this buffer place will also increase with the two star regions. The relationship between large star fields differs in size. But no matter which star field, the relationship with the spirit realm is definitely not good, so in this buffer land, the distance from both sides will be very far. This should be a buffer place. Both sides must take into account some of the impact when taking action here. Jia Yan couldn't relax easily. Even if this place was not within the realm of the gods, he could not reach other star realms. If the God Emperor continued to chase him out and killed him here, Jia Yan estimated that his own strength would not be able to reach the other star realms. He couldn't resist for long, and it was difficult for the surrounding star field experts to rescue him when he was attacked. After all, in the buffer zone, both sides claim to have territorial rights. If I fly more and enter other star realms, even if the God Emperor comes, he won't dare to attack me easily. Jia Yan suddenly unleashed his speed. In the space behind, a huge figure quickly approached the place where Jia Yan was in the gravitational wave channel. I actually got out, but that area is the border between my spiritual realm and another great realm. Even if you get there, no one will say anything if I attack you. Just wait for me to die. This God Emperor actually bit Jia Yan with no intention of letting go. After all the subordinates he sent died in Jia Yan's hands. When he was in the passage just now, he had received a report from his subordinates, saying that Jia Yan not only escaped with his life in the hands of more than 30 God Emperors arranged by him just now, but even killed these God Emperors. Complete solution. This made the God Emperor suddenly have a bad temper. Especially the potential of this evolved beast is simply too terrifying. He already has a certain dislike for our spiritual realm. If I don't kill him, if this guy's strength will continue to progress as fast as it does now, then it won't take a few hundred years, maybe 100 years, for him to come to our spiritual realm to take revenge. This kind of thing is too terrifying. The more this creature thought about it, the more it felt that killing Jia Yan was imminent. But he had no way to get closer to Jia Yan. Fortunately, Jia Yan had already left the gravitational wave channel. Such a fast speed made him understand that Jia Yan actually had the ability to exist as an ordinary God Emperor in the physical body. Otherwise, how could he be in the gravitational wave super channel? Where to move? In addition to this physique, his sensing ability is definitely better than that of ordinary people. Our galaxy level, or God Emperor level existences have been able to be proud in the universe for so long because of our relatively strong sensing ability. And this Jia Yan is different from other creatures. He is able to sense my arrival from such a distance without reaching the galaxy level whale. This sensing ability further proves that it is certain that he will reach the galaxy in the future. This powerful creature seems to trust him more than Jia Yan. If Jia Yan knew about his praise, he would definitely be embarrassed. But this is the actual situation, and he even believes that his strength will not take 100 years, maybe only a few years, or at most 10 years, to be on par with an ordinary galaxy creature. Otherwise, there would not be a subtle confrontation with the God Emperor creature. Quick. Although I may pose a threat to a God Emperor creature in the future, it will definitely not be now. Jia Yan's speed became extremely slow right after he got out of the super passage. Although it was not actually slow, compared to before, it was not much different from crawling like a turtle. But fortunately, he still has the talent for subspace. He just flew less than a kilometer and crashed into the subspace. It's still comfortable here. In an instant, Jia Yan's speed suddenly increased again. I can't believe it. In such a short period of time, I actually flew hundreds of light years and arrived outside the realm of the gods. It's really amazing. While flying, Jia Yan lamented his previous experiences. In fact, his mobility has always been good, and he has always relied on the Edissa, but now that he suddenly saw the channel of gravitational waves, it was like a new door had been opened for him. Although it is impossible for me to build a gravitational wave channel by myself, nor can I distract myself from studying gravitational waves, can I still make some progress in subspace with my strength? Jia Yan kept having similar thoughts in his mind. But he quickly put these thoughts behind him. After all, it was a life and death situation now, and thinking so much was just slowing down his speed. Fortunately, even though it was a little distracting, it didn't slow down too much. In the subspace, Jia Yan felt that the approaching creature was approaching faster than his speed in the gravitational wave channel. Coming. Jia Yan was suddenly startled. He felt that in the cosmic space where he had just appeared, a shocking force suddenly appeared there. Fortunately, Jia Yan was already at least half a light year away. Damn it, this guy actually still has such a fast speed after leaving the gravitational wave channel. When Jia Yan felt that the approaching creature was like a lighthouse, chasing him directly in some way that he could not understand, even a little faster than Jia Yan's current speed, he immediately felt a trace of fear. Depressed. This creature is faster than him, so it is unlikely that he will be so leisurely. He increased his speed and entered within 7 degrees of subspace. Oh! It actually accelerated again. Even this speed, it actually reached such a fast speed. In the space behind, the approaching giant creature silently felt that Jia Yan had entered the subspace 7 degrees, and his speed increased sharply, and he was even more surprised. He must have been flying in the 5th or 6th dimension before. Otherwise, how could he fly half a light year in such a short period of time? Now he is actually speeding up again, to about 7 degrees. This is what we where only God Emperors or galaxy-level beings can reach. He has arrived at a star level, and he is truly worthy of the talent of an evolved beast. However, even if you enter this level of depth, do you think you can escape my capture? He smiled slightly, and then his body became blurry again. The speed of the God Emperor suddenly became many times faster. Jia Yan, who was flying in front, kept observing the space behind him even in the 7-dimensional subspace. When he felt that in the space behind him, the approaching creature actually reached a speed faster than him in an instant. After speeding up, he was stunned and almost speechless for a long time. After a long time, Jia Yan felt slightly bitter. I've known for a long time that creatures that have reached the galaxy level have almost unlimited magical powers and no blind spots. I didn't expect that my speed advantage would actually lose that many advantages in front of their eyes. He is not willing to be overtaken. According to Jia Yan's observation, the space ahead should reach another star field in a short time. Once there, even a God Emperor wants to take action. As long as he delays for a while time, I guess he can only leave on his own. So he has to reach that space. 7 degrees deeper. Jia Yan moved quickly deep into the subspace. He doesn't dare to enter the 8th degree, but there are differences within the 7th degree. If it reaches the deep level of the 7th degree, Jia Yan will definitely be under greater pressure, but he will move faster there. Good guy, you actually speed up again. This Jia Yan has exceeded my expectations time and time again. The presence of the God Emperor behind him silently felt Jia Yan's increase in speed and smiled slightly. He didn't speed up either, because he knew that such speed definitely came at a price, and Jia Yan couldn't always support him at that speed. Besides, even he has reached the fastest speed that he can enter in his normal state. Even if he wants to speed up, it won't be that simple. Sure enough, just as the God Emperor thought, Jia Yan's figure slowly lost power after moving rapidly in the subspace for a period of time. His energy was lost rapidly, even if it was replenished by the blood of the giants. Played a role. He had no choice but to fly from the deep 7th dimensional space to the shallow level, and because of the explosion just now, he felt extremely difficult and weak in the shallow 7th dimensional space. This is the first time in a long time that Jia Yan has felt that his strength is actually insufficient, and he can't help but feel a little depressed. As expected, he is indeed a God Emperor, and he has not even shown up, but he has allowed his evolution to fight across levels. The beasts were almost half dead from exhaustion. Fortunately, after accelerating for such a short distance, he had already reached a distance close to the star field. According to my information, the star map there should be a place called the Giant Bear Star Territory. There is a domain lord in it, and he is also the only galaxy-level being, and that is the Giant Bear King. While flying, Jia Yan called up his brain and quickly read the information in the star map. Because of the intelligence, Jia Yan quickly learned about the star field in front of him. But after knowing the news, he didn't quite believe in this star field. Although a territory lord is definitely powerful, there is only one galaxy level in the entire star territory. Even if the territory lord's strength is definitely stronger than the average galaxy level, or the God Emperor's shackles, but Jia Yan didn't know whether the only domain lord would take action against the God Emperor who was chasing him. But even if they don't take action, the God Emperor definitely has some scruples about taking action in this area. Who? Within one step, Jia Yan indeed rushed into the Giant Bear Star territory. And just when he rushed into the Giant Bear Star territory, behind him, a creature that looked like a huge bird came quickly. This creature is tens to hundreds of kilometers in size. Even Jia Yan, who is now 10 kilometers in size, is absolutely incomparable in front of it. It is too different in size. Jia Yan, you can't escape. The sound from behind was like a sound wave attack. Among the fierce waves, there were shocking ripples that caused Jia Yan, who was flying in front, to slow down a bit. And this strand was caused by Jia Yan breaking through with all his strength. An ordinary top-level star back level would definitely be hit by this sound wave and be unable to move, or even be seriously injured with just one sound. This is terrifying. A God Emperor level being has such amazing strength. Unfortunately, I still thought that he could deal with a God Emperor level creature now. It really is incomparable. Jia Yan was shocked. To him, it seemed that he had jumped up and killed enemies along the way. Even after he had just reached the back steps of the star, he showed great power, and his strength reached the level of a group of God Emperors. That is, a group of peak late stellar creatures from the outside world, were all killed by him, so he swelled in comparison, thinking that even if he could not defeat a God Emperor now, he might be able to confront them. But the facts slapped Jia Yan mercilessly in the face. That is, he is still unable to fight against a God Emperor, that is to say, unable to fight against a galaxy-level existence. You must know that galaxy-level beings are the truly top-notch creatures in this galaxy. Even if there is a big difference in strength and power, the strongest is the strongest. In front of a galaxy-level being, a star-level being is almost there is no ability to resist. However, Jia Yan did not react much under the attack of the sound wave, which also made the pursuer behind him slightly stunned. After all, he was dealing with a non-galaxy level existence. In his impression, even with a roar, he could make people stop, but in Jia Yan's case, it was completely ineffective. Jia Yan was surprised by his strength, so he was not surprised by Jia Yan's strength. You must know that this is just a star level. Humph, even so, I am the God Emperor and I am at the galaxy level. Do you think you, a mere star level expert, can escape from my hands? The brilliance in this God Emperor's eyes was even greater. The next moment, his speed suddenly increased again. Even though Jia Yan was still within the seventh dimension of the subspace, his attack suddenly and quickly reached the seventh dimension of the subspace where Jia Yan was located. Jia Yan, since you have offended the God Emperor, then go and die. The Divine Emperor's angry attack, carrying supreme power, instantly broke through the subspaces of 1 to 6 dimensions. Then, in the seventh dimension, he was slightly blocked for a moment, but it was still a complete breakthrough. Puff. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1566. U. How could Jia Yan have expected that the so-called God Emperor's attack would be so terrifying? He didn't even have time to see the opponent's figure clearly before he was attacked directly in front of him. Unimaginably fast. But Jia Yan is certainly not a creature that will die randomly. The power of ripples. The way of yin and yang. Subspace talent. Several thoughts flashed through Jia Yan's thoughts, and then these thoughts were used like instincts as soon as Jia Yan had these thoughts. This was the first time that Jia Yan suddenly used 3 of the most terrifying moves under his own use. But even the most powerful moves have to be used now. Because the person in front of him is a God Emperor, which means that the creature in front of him is a creature that Jia Yan can't beat. Generally speaking, he can't even think of escaping from this distance. If he wants to escape, he can only show all his strength and all his back UPS, otherwise there is really no possibility of escaping. Just when Jia Yan was displaying his attacks and strength, the God Emperor did not think that he would definitely be able to kill Jia Yan just because Jia Yan was much weaker than him. The existence of the God Emperor, or those who have reached such a level of power, are generally not so arrogant. It should even be said that their inner world may have been divided into 2 areas, extremely calm or extremely uncool. Place. Now during the battle, the God Emperor switched to a calm fighting mode. After all, strong men have too much fighting experience, and if their fighting talents are not strong, they will definitely not be able to grow to the level of the God Emperor, so in an instant, the God Emperor did not stop his attack, but suddenly launched an attack. After the instant attack, the God Emperor's terrifying giant body actually launched another bombardment with shocking power in an instant. Jia Yan was inside the subspace and had just received the first attack. Puff. When the first attack came, it was suddenly blocked by the depth of the 6th and 7th dimensions, so its strength was reduced by at least half, but the remaining half was still unreachable. Jia Yan forcefully used his ripple power. Moreover, his ripple power is caused by the fluctuations in the subspace. But now he is in the 7th dimensional subspace, so this ripple power is derived from the power of the 7th dimensional subspace. It's much more powerful than using the power of ripples in the outside world. Moreover, Jia Yan did not use much more power to enhance the power of the ripples. But such a powerful ripple power still cannot cause much blocking effect on the incoming energy in front of us. The power of the ripples broke in an instant. Then came what made Jia Yan even more depressed. That was his yin and yang dao. He used enough power to bombard the positive and negative energies at the same time, facing the coming power. But this power is still too terrifying. In fact, Jia Yan himself has no idea how much the power of the ripples has been enhanced by space. He only knows that the power of the ripples is much stronger than the outside world, but he is still unable to resist it. It's just this power. But when his own power bombarded out, he knew how powerful the ripples were to be able to neutralize a large part of the attack of the God Emperor. Because of his positive and negative power, he actually couldn't resist it even for a moment. Puff. Another slight sound was heard in Jia Yan's ears. This is the power of two big explosions, which caused the vibration of space, otherwise the ears of living creatures would not be able to hear this sound. There are actually so many. Jia Yan suddenly stepped back. This was when he used his subdimensional talent. His subspace talent is extremely amazing. If it were not for the existence of the God Emperor, even if he had subspace talent, it would be impossible to reach such a deep subspace place. But Jia Yan not only reached it, but even here, all resulted in extremely shocking speed and reaction. But Jia Yan retreated so quickly that he was almost close to the 8th level space. The power from the God Emperor level powerhouse still hit Jia Yan's body. Azure Defense. Jia Yan suddenly shouted in his head. His strength can be said to be full of many means, but just one attack from this God Emperor level being forced Jia Yan to use almost all means. Fortunately, he not only used a few life-saving stunts to waste the coming power, but also bombarded more power into the subspace. You must know that in the 7th dimensional subspace, when it reaches the depth, the blocking power is even average. The galaxy class may be unstoppable. Therefore, the power of the bombardment is consumed most by this space. Snort. Jia Yan snorted suddenly, because even though the power of the bombardment was almost exhausted, he still suffered great damage. One side of his abdomen was covered by the shocking force, so Jia Yan only saw a smoke-like thing appearing in his abdomen, and then bursts of severe pain appeared in his mind. It hurts, huh? What, he hit me again, damn it? Jia Yan only felt waves of severe pain in his body. It was so difficult to deal with one blow, so what about another blow, or even several more blows? Can he avoid it? Fight. Jia Yan gritted his teeth, knowing that what was coming was most likely a God Emperor level existence. He had no other way to escape except desperately. Of course, what Jia Yan is talking about is not really desperate, because even if he fights against a God Emperor, Jia Yan will definitely die. So what he was thinking was to give it a try and see if he could enter the explosive subspace. If he could enter it, even the God Emperor's attack might not be able to reach that level. Badu is definitely a dream for Jia Yan. He even wondered whether he would have to wait until he reached the galaxy level before he could reach that depth. But he didn't expect that now he would try to enter it. For Jia Yan, he would definitely not be willing to enter such an extremely dangerous thing if he was not forced by danger. But it's impossible not to enter now. Puff. Jia Yan stepped back. A force that was much more powerful than the previous bombardment suddenly arrived in the 7th dimension where Jia Yan was located. And just when the power bombardment entered the 7th degree, Jia Yan's whole body also moved towards the 8th degree of that space without hesitation, and directly retreated and entered. Outside the subspace, the behemoth suddenly stared. There was a hint of astonishment in his expression. However, this shock quickly turned into laughter. You, a mere star-level creature, also want to enter the 8th level subspace? Haha, you must know that for ordinary galaxy-level creatures, entering the 8th level subspace is a dead end. He laughed, but it was a smile, and he still looked at Jia Yan's movements calmly. The coming energy suddenly hit the area where Jia Yan was standing before. Within this area, Jia Yan had already left quickly. The direction he left was the 8th subspace that even this God Emperor level being was unwilling to enter. Generally speaking, the God Emperor's attack can easily attack the 7th dimension of subspace, but what about the 8th dimension? Difficult. Ordinary God Emperors, or galaxy-level powerhouses, are so powerful that they can defy the mirror of the sky, but they generally will not encounter a creature that can enter the 8-dimensional subspace. Therefore, their fighting and training methods will not turn towards the subspace. After all, no one has that much international time. But unfortunately, Jia Yan actually dared to do such a ridiculous thing in the eyes of the God Emperor. Even if he wants to die, he cannot describe his problem. He believed that Jia Yan would definitely die in an instant. Wave. An astonishing wave came from behind Jia Yan. Although the twists and turns can no longer be seen clearly with the naked eye, Jia Yan knows that they are rapidly destroying his body. My body, please hold on. I want to live well. I can't die in a place like this. There was a hint of madness in Jia Yan's expression. In the 8th-dimensional subspace, it is a little different from the 7th-dimensional subspace. Although the space ripples in the 7th-dimensional space are relatively small, they are definitely not as fine as the 8th level. The largest rupture opening does not reach the level of several hundred million cubic meters. The difference between the 7th degree and the 8th degree is that the 7th degree is peaceful, but the 8th degree is even more peaceful. And here, there are almost no accidental products, such as space accidents or the like. There are none at all, because the 7th degree is still there, and it is actually the instability of the 7th degree that governs. There is nothing in the octave, there is just pure destruction and tearing. This is what subspace should really be like. Jia Yan suddenly felt that the space in his back was suddenly torn apart. The half of the body here was not strong enough to retreat into the 8-dimensional subspace, but the other half of the body that retreated into the 8-dimensional subspace instantly felt the extremely shocking tearing force. Even if he was a subdimensional, creatures with extremely powerful talents also feel the same way. No, I can still hold on. Jia Yan couldn't help but show a trace of panic when he saw the terrifying creature in front of him unleashing another attack on him, which was definitely more powerful than the last time. Therefore, he would rather gamble on whether he can enter the subspace than gamble on the attack power of a God Emperor level that he absolutely cannot block. Jia Yan made a choice. Buzz. He only felt that as his body quickly squeezed into the 8-dimensional space, huge destruction was happening around his body. And the attack in front of him was like a reminder, approaching quickly. Jia Yan's strength is simply not comparable to that of a galaxy-level creature. So he could only hide. Click click click. The body actually made cracking sounds. Jia Yan was almost terrified, fearing that his retreating body would be completely torn apart. And just before the attack came, Jia Yan's entire body finally entered the complete 8-dimensional space. Jia Yan only saw that the incoming attack was barely blocked by the 1st to 7th dimensions or consumed too much power, and it broke through many barriers and reached Jia Yan's eyes. But Jia Yan has already reached the 8-dimensional space. The coming power should have easily seriously injured or killed Jia Yan, but when he arrived in the outside world of the 8-dimensional space, he seemed to have encountered something that was impossible to cross. The huge barrier passed by was firmly blocked from the 8 degrees. It was like hitting a wall. Huh? He really entered the octave. This kind of subdimensional talent is rare in the world. It's a pity that he still has to die. 8 degrees, known as the galaxy level, is difficult for us to enter. At least, you must have subspace talents above the middle level of the galaxy to get involved. This Jia Yan is just a star level. Entering this kind of place is absolutely fatal. No burial place. The coming blood-red creature thought that Jia Yan, who had entered the 8-dimensional space, would definitely die without a burial place. As a powerful person who has reached the level of the galaxy, which is the God Emperor level as mentioned by the divine system, he still has some praise for Jia Yan's strength, but no matter how much he praises him, he will not think that can travel in the 7th dimension, and he can also reach the 8th dimension. Even if the subspace talent is strong, it can't be so strong that it jumps 2 levels, right? The 7th degree is already the place where Jia Yan moves unsteadily, the 8th degree? It's almost like dreaming. Ah! Within the 8-dimensional subspace, as expected, Jia Yan, who had just reached the deep 8-degree subspace, felt that his whole body was rapidly being destroyed by the huge twisting and tearing force within the 8-dimensional space. It's terrible, it hurts. If I don't leave, I will definitely die. Without Azure defense, I will definitely die. It's such an exaggerated 8-dimensional subspace. I will definitely not be able to come to such a place again in a short time. Jia Yan actually didn't die immediately. But despite this, his body was quickly destroyed by the 8-dimensional space. He was about to drill out of the place where he had just drilled out as a conditioned reflex, but a clever idea came to his mind and he quickly stopped this thought. No, that guy is still in the outside world. If I go out here again, I will be killed by him directly. Either I will take the risk of hiding in the 8th degree, or I will be bombarded to death with one blow. There is no other end at all. I'm going to move a little bit. Jia Yan endured his pain and moved forward tremblingly in the subspace as if he were gritting his teeth. Every step forward is like enduring endless pain, because every time he reaches a new place, there is a new 8-dimensional space tier waiting for him. After finally enduring it, this space tier is also due to consumption. I tried to get some strength to make him feel better, but he moved on to a new place, and the severe pain returned. Ah, I can't stand it anymore. I've just walked 20 kilometers in the 8-dimensional space. My two bodies are just as far apart. I can't help it anymore. Let's get out. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1567. Jia Yan felt that his body couldn't bear it anymore, so he quickly flew out. Flying out of the 8th degree in an instant, the 7th degree outside felt uncomfortable, because at this moment, Jia Yan's strength dropped to a level of weakness that he had not felt for a long time, so the 7th degree could not hold on. He was afraid that the God Emperor would take advantage of him to fly out to the 7th dimension and attack him again. But when he was flying beyond the 7th dimension, when he looked outside, Jia Yan was suddenly stunned. Because in the outside world of subspace, where is the God Emperor creature? How could it be, he? Jia Yan was stunned, and then looked outside the subspace behind him, and was even more shocked. Because outside this space, Jia Yan saw that the God Emperor creature actually became tens of thousands of kilometers away in an instant. He only moved a little distance within the 8-dimensional space, and actually stayed away from this creature. The God Emperor's universe spans tens of thousands of kilometers. The speed of this movement can be described as extremely shocking. Oh! You actually ran over there. Is this the power of the 8-dimensional subspace? But even if you run tens of thousands of kilometers away, you can't escape my grasp. The strength of the blood-red creature had reached the level of a God Emperor, so it could easily detect scenes tens of thousands of kilometers away, so he suddenly flew towards this area. Even if Jia Yan is in the subspace, but has not flown into the subspace above 8 degrees, it seems that he cannot hide anything from this God Emperor level existence. He actually arrived in the 8th dimension. This can only be entered by a subspace talent who has reached the middle level of the galaxy or above. Why can he enter at the constant breath level? The approaching God Emperor creature had a hint of ruthlessness in its eyes. He found that he also underestimated Jia Yan a little. After all, he was a God Emperor. Although he didn't say he would hold back when he took action just now, he didn't go to the extent of going all out. But now it is discovered that Jia Yan can actually enter the 8th dimension, which is different. If there is a chance, he will definitely kill Jia Yan. Because it is very difficult to reach the 8th dimension, but with such ability, he has the strength to make a God Emperor like him spend a lot of energy to kill him. Since he has consumed a lot of his power, I will take this opportunity to kill Jia Yan, and really eliminate future troubles forever. A blood-red creature suddenly flew over. Jia Yan saw the God Emperor from a distance, flew towards him in anger, and quickly flew in the opposite direction. His speed in the six-dimensional space is not slow, but now his strength is decreasing very quickly, and in this sixth-dimensional space, he is originally a little slower than the blood-red God Emperor, so the distance between the two sides is quickly approaching. There are still 30 seconds. After these 30 seconds, he will come to my side. Then I will be killed by him. No, I cannot be killed, but under the influence of a god who is absolutely powerful, do I have any other power to resist in front of the emperor? Jia Yan smiled bitterly and looked at the creature approaching quickly from behind. He had long known that the existence of the Galaxy class was powerful, but he had never thought that the Galaxy class was so powerful. This is still an ordinary level God Emperor. In other words, he is an ordinary Galaxy level, or should be the weakest existence in the Galaxy level. And what if he is a Territory Lord? You must know that Territory Lord it is the most terrifying creature in this starry sky. The top domain lords at that time were hunting down Senior Tianji. He, a giant beast in the starry sky, was hunted down until he had to die in the end. Although he did not know who those domain lords were. Not even dead, but they were able to hunt down a galaxy-level starry sky beast to such an extent that even the battle between the two sides caused destruction in the starry sky and gave birth to a genius battlefield, although I don't know how they did it. Yes, but the God Emperor level existence in front of me obviously has not reached that level at all. Could it be said that the Territory Lord is a being that is much higher than the ordinary galaxy-level existence? Jia Yan was thinking about this kind of thing while running away quickly and with all his strength. If the existence of the Territory Lord level is more powerful than the ordinary galaxy level in front of him, then Jia Yan has no doubts. After all, although the galaxy-level God Emperor in front of him is also powerful, it is not at all what he imagined for the galaxy level. Degree. Another example is the so-called Queen of the Zerg that he actually saw before. Her strength has reached an unimaginable level. The existence of the God Emperor in front of him now does not seem to have that feeling. Forget it, I'll keep flying. In short, no matter how strong the domain master is, I will definitely know how powerful this kind of existence is when I reach the galaxy level. Jia Yan didn't care so much and flew forward directly. But even if he flew away with all his efforts, the God Emperor coming from behind was still hot on his heels. Jia Yan turned around in an instant, and hid in the seventh-dimensional space very quickly in the subspace. But the God Emperor still refused to give up. Even though he couldn't see the affairs in the seventh dimension so clearly, and even almost lost Jia Yan because of the distance, he still pursued Jia Yan. Damn it! This guy is still here. Jia Yan looked at this guy solemnly, and then performed several more transformations and entered the seventh dimension. But the guy behind him was still following Jia Yan non-stop. You must know that chasing someone is much more tiring than being chased. But this guy was not only not too tired, he even became more and more angry as he chased him. After calming down, especially when he felt that Jia Yan's strength was much lower than before, he was not so anxious. Jia Yan, you are a strong man with good talents. I pity the fact that you are about to die, so I will give you a chance. If you are willing to be my subordinate and start learning the training system of my spiritual realm from now on, then I'll spare your life. How about it? Don't even think about it. While flying, Jia Yan had to deal with the rhetoric of this galaxy-level God Emperor, and suddenly felt a little more depressed. This guy is already so much stronger than him, why do he still need to use psychological warfare? Of course, he also knows that as a strong man who is so powerful, of course he doesn't care about face, but fights how he can win, especially with the existence of the God Emperor. They are very weak in Zhongzhou. On the one hand, when fighting the creatures of the universe system, there is definitely no need to take care of face. Snort. Jia Yan immediately used his speed again and quickly entered the 7th dimension for a period of time. Although the appearance in the 7th dimension is still the same, because Jia Yan consumed too much strength just now in the 8th dimension and in the battle, he just arrived at the 7th dimension where he could move more laboriously. He actually became flying slowly in an instant. But since it is the 7th dimension, no matter how slow it is, its actual speed is not slow at all. For example, in the 6th dimensional space, if he can reach speed 1, then after reaching the 7th dimensional space, he can fly to speed 3. With such help, the speed of both parties still maintain the slow approaching speed. Even because Jia Yan was within the 7-dimensional subspace, he actually reached a speed that was faster than that of the 6-dimensional space. Speed. Hey, there's such speed. Humph. You actually forced yourself to enter the 7th dimension. With a body like yours, let's see how long you can hold on. In the cosmic space area behind, the whole body of the blood-red creature seemed to be in a bubble, which made his speed not much slower than Jia Yan in the subspace. As mentioned before, a powerful person, especially one who has reached the galaxy level, generally does not have too many weaknesses or shortcomings. For example, the flying speed of this blood-red creature, even if he does not have like Jia Yan, he has subspace talent, or gravitational wave talent, but with such strength, he will also have his own fast flight speed. Perhaps compared to those who specialize in speed or the more powerful galaxy level, his flying speed is not too fast, but against creatures like Jia Yan who are not below the galaxy level, his speed can be said to be crushing. Quick! Jia Yan didn't know what was supporting him in flying to escape. He only knew that if he didn't stop flying and the God Emperor coming from behind caught him, he would be completely dead. After all, as a star level, provoking a galaxy level, and not the kind of galaxy level that has just been promoted, is definitely seeking death. Although Jia Yan is confident that when his strength reaches the peak of the star level, it will be possible to deal with a creature that has just been promoted to the galaxy level, but isn't he not there yet? What's more, the person chasing after him is not the God Emperor who has just been promoted to the galaxy level. In other words, in the entire galaxy, it is more difficult to find a galaxy level who has just been promoted for a few days than to meet 10. It is difficult for the galaxy to exist. But no matter what he thinks, the galaxy level behind him probably won't give him a chance. Die. When the distance between the two sides approached a certain limit, the chasing blood-red creature suddenly grinned and suddenly burst out with a burst of brainwave power from its fist. This brainwave power penetrated the various spaces and blasted directly into the subspace. It aimed at Jia Yan who was in the 7th dimension of the subspace and struck. Get out of my way. Jia Yan inspired all his strength, and even his body flew from the shallows of the 7th dimension to the depths again. Although he didn't dare to get close to the 8 degrees anymore, because if he got close to him, he felt that he should be attacked and killed by the 8 degrees subspace. But if the battle really reaches the point where he can't resist, then even if he rushes into the 8th level space and is swallowed up by his entire body, he will not let this galaxy level God Emperor kill him directly. This is the character that Jia Yan has realized until now. Puff. Jia Yan's blow, when he used various moves, immediately blocked the strike of the God Emperor in front of him. Puff. But at the same time, a stream of giant mosquito blood spurted out from his mouth parts. Outside the subspace, the blood-red God Emperor, who was extremely powerful, suddenly smiled, and then his body, which was many times larger than Jia Yan, suddenly moved again. He was very confident about the next blow. This evolved beast couldn't catch it. Boom! The sky and the earth were all changing colors. This blow was a full blow belonging to the blood-red God Emperor. He felt that this evolved beast must be killed directly, even if he, the God Emperor, existed, he would not hesitate to use all his strength. Block it to me. Swallow all your strength and the blood of the giants. All my brainwave power will explode. My yin and yang Dao, two powers, will burn for me. Jia Yan roared in his heart. He knew that this was a critical moment of life and death, and a god emperor was attacking him with all his strength. For Jia Yan, apart from being a little regretful about his death, he was still quite proud of himself. It is a pity that Jia Yan has not yet seen that he has reached the lower level of the star, or even the strength of the galaxy level, and he is a little unwilling to do so. If he reaches the galaxy level, he can probably kill such a god emperor easily, right? But they came to kill him because they wanted to prevent such a situation. Are you going to die? No, I can't die yet and enter the octave again. Jia Yan felt that the shocking power was far more powerful than he had originally imagined. He knew he couldn't resist it and wanted to give up, but the desire to survive in his heart aroused a stronger sense of survival. Jia Yan burst out his strength with all his strength and while retreating towards the eight-dimensional subspace again. But the power was too strong and too fast. Before Jia Yan could completely retreat into the eighth dimension, it had already hit Jia Yan's body with one blow. Ah! Even though it was Jia Yan, he still groaned miserably under this force that he couldn't resist at all. Then the brainwave power in his body, even if it was exploded by the full force of yin-yang Dao, was still destroyed in an instant. Then came his ripple power. This power lasted a little longer, maybe not even 1,000th of a second, and it was still broken. Then there is Jia Yan's hard-finished Azure defense. All Jia Yan's bets were on the Azure defense that he had unleashed with all his strength. Sure enough, Azure defense blocked it for 100th of a second longer. But it was only 100th of a second. The body's defense was like glass breaking, and a large piece of it shattered in an instant. His body suddenly fell back. Behind it is the eight-dimensional subspace. Refund me. In this moment of life and death, Jia Yan quickly adopted the idea of not resisting and completely allowed the power from the sky to hit his body. The extent of the breakdown of Zhang Yian's defense was even more terrifying. However, Jia Yan did not die. Instead, he borrowed the impact and suddenly rushed into the eight-dimensional space behind him. He took advantage of his subspace talent and entered the octave without much resistance, but the huge power coming ahead did not have this ability. Completely blocked out of the octave. Huh? There is such an operation. The God Emperor outside the subspace was stunned for a moment, and then he narrowed his eyes and prepared for the next attack. Give me, stop. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1568. When Jia Yan was in the subspace, there was a possibility of attack from the outside world, and when he felt that he might not be able to resist next time, a sudden roar came from the distant interstellar distance, which seemed to be transmitted through some kind of mysterious space. In an instant, it passed an extremely long distance and came directly to the fighting area. Both sides in the battle were slightly stunned. The blood-red God Emperor was naturally shocked by the sound. As for Jia Yan, in addition to this reason, it was more because the sound actually penetrated the subspace, and he could hear it clearly even deep in the subspace. This is so surprising. The subspace itself actually belongs to another system. For Jia Yan, there are very few biological sounds. Unless they are extremely powerful and are deliberately transmitted into this space, they cannot be transmitted. But this voice sounded like it was coming from a very far away place. Even Jia Yan could not tell where it came from, but the voice still reached the subspace where Jia Yan was. Jia Yan didn't dare to guess how terrifying this creature's strength was. The giant bear king. Suddenly, the blood-red God Emperor creature outside the subspace gave Jia Yan the answer. The giant bear king? The territory lord of the giant bear star territory? He is so terrifying. Jia Yan thought that the strength of a territory lord was not much stronger than that of a God Emperor, or that he was not much stronger than an ordinary galaxy-level being. But now he looked at it, and it turned out that he was indeed stronger than an ordinary god. Emperor or galaxy-level creatures are much, much more powerful. Moreover, as soon as Jia Yan observed the blood-red god Emperor in the outside world, although he still didn't know who he was, Jia Yan knew that he was by no means just a god Emperor who had just been promoted. He was at least one who had been at the beginning of the galaxy. God Emperor for quite some time. But after hearing the sound of the outside coming, this majestic God Emperor actually showed a hint of fear. Bloodman God Emperor, please withdraw from my giant bear star territory. Otherwise, don't blame me for breaking the agreement negotiated by our domain masters. There is no clause in the agreement that states that your gods will be able to enter my giant bear star territory. The huge sound suddenly exploded beside the blood-red creature. This, you, giant bear king, I haven't fully stepped into your giant bear star territory yet. I came here just to kill an enemy of my spiritual realm. Could it be that you don't even want to give me this little time? The blood-red creature, the blood god Emperor as the voice said, had a hint of unwillingness in his expression and spoke harshly to the distant voice. But in the subspace, no matter how Jia Yan looked at it, this creature seemed to be stern, with no actual sense of threat at all. Could it be that the territory lord is really that much more powerful than the average god emperor, or the galaxy level? But that's right, if the territory lord is such a simple creature, how could he be stripped from the galaxy level and become a new term? In the subspace, Jia Yan first silently thought about the strength of the domain lord and others, and then looked at the blood air creature outside the subspace. Now that he cannot leave the subspace, Jia Yan will be the one to judge what a domain lord is. What is the basis for judging strength? Under Jia Yan's intense attention, the blood-red creature reluctantly looked back at Jia Yan, who was within the next row. Jia Yan's eyes flashed suddenly, but he looked directly at the God Emperor without any fear. You are very good, Jia Yan. I will kill you next time and I will not give you a chance to grow up. The Blood God Emperor seemed to have the idea of killing Jia Yan, especially now that he was about to succeed, but another disruptor suddenly appeared. To him, it seemed that all his previous efforts had been wasted, and he was very unwilling to do so. But it was no longer possible for him to continue attacking. The giant bear king has come forward, so he will only return in vain. Because even if the two domain lords of their spiritual domain are here, they may not be able to defeat each other. Bear King, goodbye. The bloody god emperor, while leaving, was still far away, and gave a faint salute to the giant bear king who was not even sure how far away. This is politeness to a strong person. Even if the relationship between the two parties is hostile, he cannot be rude to this strong person who has reached the level of a domain lord. This is the power of the territory lord. It can make the God Emperor chase me so hard that I can hardly escape from an unknown place. How can I say a polite greeting even if it ruins his plan? Jia Yan was extremely surprised by the scene in the subspace. In the past, he had always thought that the galaxy-level creatures, even if they were much different, would not be that big of a difference. But now it seems that even if the territory lords are classified as galaxy level in terms of traditional status, their strength and prestige are absolutely I don't know how much more than the average galaxy level creature. Looking at the God Emperor, he was depressed and slowly flew towards a space, and then suddenly accelerated. In an instant, the speed reached a speed that Jia Yan could hardly reach in the subspace. Jia Yan knew that this God Emperor I really left. A god emperor was frightened and left without even seeing the other person's face. What kind of strength and prestige does it take to do such a thing? Your Excellency, he has left. Please come out too. That gentle voice seemed to be paying more attention to Jia Yan in the subspace. Jia Yan was stunned for a moment, then slowly flew out of the subspace with great dignity. He knew that with his subdimensional strength, it was a little difficult to avoid the bloody God Emperor. Facing a creature that even the God Emperor was afraid of would definitely be more dangerous, so he might as well just fly out. Moreover, someone helped him, and might even have saved Jia Yan's life. For Jia Yan, this was the first time he had encountered this situation after being reborn for so long, so he probably didn't have any ill intentions. Perhaps. Of course, Jia Yan knew that even if he didn't have the help of the giant bear king, he might still have a chance to escape from the bloody god emperor if he used all his methods, especially after absorbing the blood of the giant clan. He escaped with his life, but the price to pay was too high, so Jia Yan still had a certain affection for the creature who saved him. Your mightiness. Jia Yan suddenly flew out of the subspace layer by layer within 6 degrees of the subspace, and then nodded towards the distant direction where the sound came from. This is also the greatest kindness Jia Yan has shown to a strong man who is far superior to himself. If this kind of goodwill is not enough, then he has no choice. If the other party really wants to fight and kill, Jia Yan will accompany him. Don't think that Jia Yan is looking for death. After all, the opponent is still far away. If it really can't be done, he will rush to the 8th dimension in one breath and risk his life to see if he can still escape. If he is allowed to escape, then with Jia Yan's talent, whether he will come back again in the future and kill all the so-called domain lords is a matter of whether he is willing to do it or not. Oh? A star-level person. I thought you were not a creature of our universe. Tell me why this bloody god emperor is chasing you. The distant creature didn't seem to know Jia Yan's identity, but after seeing Jia Yan's sense of strength, he knew that he was a cosmic creature. Although the feeling of strength was a bit strange, in the cosmic system, there were too many messy talents and powerful systems, so he didn't feel any surprise. Your Excellency, I sailed in his spiritual realm for a while and killed dozens of his top divine emperor subordinates, so he came after me personally. What Jia Yan said was concise, but he didn't say it completely. He killed dozens of top god emperors in one battle in one breath. It sounded like he was slowly killing them one after another. Dozens of top divine emperors. Oh, dozens of god emperors. This is definitely a great event. No wonder the bloody god emperor wants to hunt you down. He only has so many top god emperor subordinates. You killed more than half of them in one go. He must be I hate you so much. The giant bear territory lord seemed a little shocked by Jia Yan's achievements. After all, Jia Yan is just a high-level star. Even in his opinion, it seems that Jia Yan is not such a simple low-level star, but he never thought that Jia Yan could kill so many people in one breath. The talent of multiple god emperors exists. But he didn't ask how Jia Yan did it. It seemed that for a creature of his level, the god emperor was already dispensable. Even a high-ranking star like Jia Yan could destroy. Killing so many god emperors was nothing more than that. No matter what method he used, it was of little significance to him. Well, since you are a creature of our universe, and you have killed so many god emperors in the divine realm, which can be considered to have helped my cosmic biological system, I will not hold you accountable for entering my giant bear star territory. It's a crime. You decide whether to stay in my giant bear star territory for a while or leave directly. The giant bear king actually didn't even reveal his true identity and asked Jia Yan to leave or stay in his giant bear star territory for a while. Your Excellency, I am still waiting for my subordinates. I will leave when they arrive. Jia Yan quickly said to him. Okay, it's up to you. The giant bear king was about to disappear. However, he did not expect that. After Jia Yan thought for a moment behind his back, he said calmly, Mr. Giant Bear King, you helped me today. If there is anything you need me to do in the future, please tell me. Thank you. Your move today. Oh, I just did it randomly. I don't need anything in return from you. Okay, goodbye, little guy. The distant sound disappeared. When the feeling and pressure of the voice completely disappeared, Jia Yan kept looking in the distant direction in slight surprise. It's too powerful. It's simply beyond my imagination. A god emperor has surpassed my imagination. I didn't expect it. Territory lord level creatures are even more terrifying than I imagined. Jia Yan's heart skipped a beat. He had always underestimated the world's heroes before, especially after meeting the blood-incarnated God Emperor. He thought that his strength was estimated to be in this universe. Even if there were still some that he couldn't defeat, he could at least escape. But after actually seeing this elusive giant bear king, he knew that he would not be able to escape, let alone fight, or escape against such a domain lord level creature. He just heard the sound from at least a few light years away, or even further away. This must have been achieved by his own strength. How did he achieve such terrifying strength? Even the existence of the God Emperor is estimated to be this kind of strength is like a mountain of admiration. I heard that a territory lord is not very strong, just the top of the middle level of the galaxy, but with such strength, he can actually become like this amazing. Jia Yan finally understood that it was not only the huge gap in strength between the star level, but also the difference in strength between the star level and the star level was probably even greater. Although the God Emperor creature in the first level of galaxy may be considered weak in the galaxy level, it is by no means as weak as the one who has just been promoted. But in front of a domain lord creature, he can only bear the humiliation and bear the burden. He didn't dare to attack the flesh around his mouth anymore. When he left, he had to salute the other party. This kind of humiliation was simply beyond Jia Yan's imagination. Region Lord, it turns out that reaching the galaxy level is not the end. Senior Tianji back then, even though he had reached the domain lord level, he was still hunted down by a group of territory lords, fighting all the way. The world collapsed, and even the genius battlefield appeared. Through the strength of this giant bear territory lord, Jia Yan recalled the battle between the senior evolution beast and a group of territory lord level creatures hundreds of thousands of years ago. This thought made him look forward to the territory lord's strength even more. He believed that his strength should not be placed at the galaxy level, but should be placed at the territory lord level, and it should be compared to Senior Tianji is a more powerful territory lord. Otherwise, wouldn't he be able to solve the same crisis as his seniors? No, suddenly, Jia Yan was startled. A group of domain lords attack Senior Tianji. Although hundreds of thousands of years have passed, this kind of thing will definitely be recorded. If this giant bear king looks back, what information does he know that I am an evolved beast? Then we don't know what attitude he will have. Quick, Lawrence, come out quickly. In fact, Jia Yan waited uneasily for 3 days while waiting for Luo Longxi and other creatures. After 3 days, a group of creatures, riding a battleship, came from the depths of gravitational waves and arrived outside the great realm of the gods. Wow, is this outside the realm of the gods? It seems to be no different from our spiritual realm. Is the outside as desolate and backward as the adults say? A creature sitting in a battleship or spaceship has never been outside the realm of gods in their whole life. Now they are suddenly outside the realm of gods. Many ignorant words are spoken from their mouths. In particular, some of them still have a sense of belonging to the divine realm. When they talk about creatures from the outside world, compared to the divine realm, they are all backward racial remarks. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1569. Master Jia Yan is over there. Sir, he is indeed not dead, haha. For someone who can escape from the hands of the God Emperor, Master Jia Yan is very powerful. So sir, you have already reached this level? I am not dreaming, am I? It's too dreamy for a high-level star to deal with the God Emperor, even if it's just to escape for one's life. It turns out that the stories in historical records are true, and the evolved beasts are really so powerful. Jia Yan's subordinates, even though they had previously known that the captured creature was a God Emperor, they still felt that Jia Yan had a certain chance of escaping. Of course, the idea that he could not escape was also unacceptable. It has always been lingering in my heart. After all, the God Emperor is a galaxy-level creature in the outside world. Compared with ordinary star-level powerhouses, even though Jia Yan is a creature with many means and the ability to evolve beasts to jump to the next level, there is still a certain degree of doubt, and even a faint feeling that Jia Yan will really die in this battle. But even if they think that way, they won't say it out loud. They have persisted in the realm of gods for so long, and similar thoughts have come up long ago, but they relied on their own will and waited for several months. After taking such a big risk in the battle, they didn't know whether Jia Yan was alive or dead at that time, and they all waited. Now, it's just a possibility. How could they directly change their tune? But in fact, how many people are willing to believe this idea is unknown? For Jia Yan, his group of subordinates do not have so much help in fighting, but they have gone through so many ups and downs with Jia Yan and have never left him, so seeing there was nothing wrong with them, and Jia Yan was very happy. Haha, there is a reason why I was able to escape from this God Emperor. In short, I am still a long way from the God Emperor level or the galaxy level. This battle made me realize the gap. In the future, I will reach when I can deal with this God Emperor. I will naturally return to this great realm of gods to save some face with this God Emperor. Jia Yan said lightly. In fact, he expressed his own opinion in this way, and also expressed another meaning, that is, he might still go to another world through the passage in that space in the future. It is estimated that in that world the passage was located in the great spiritual realm, so he had no choice but to go and fight in the great spiritual realm. As for seeking revenge against the God Emperor, although Jia Yan did not say that he would definitely do it, if he has the strength in the future, then it will not be a big deal for him to do it casually. Sir, where are we going now? The subordinates are not very interested in whether Jia Yan really escaped from a God Emperor. In other words, even if they feel that they are a little interested, but Jia Yan does not take the initiative to say it, then they will not be more interested. Asked. Now. Although I really want to take you directly to my hometown, but it is the Edessa that needs training now, so let's fly to another place first. Jia Yan looked calmly at the Edessa, which seemed to have made no movement since it flew out of the subspace. Master, I have no energy left and need to recuperate first. If you wake me up again in the future, don't forget my name. Editha turned into a mosquito of light and shadow, flying around Jia Yan, giving Jia Yan thousands of instructions. In fact, it didn't even dare to think that Jia Yan would really help it find a suitable body, that is, its new battleship. As an intelligence, it is difficult for him to understand the feelings and complexity of living things. He just knows that the current Jia Yan has exceeded his ability. Will such a creature help such a useless intelligence to make a new one? The body doesn't know either. By the way, Master, your strength is the same as that of my old master. When you arrive near the Chaos Star territory, go to my husband's place. He will have something left for you. Even if I don't come back to life, I won't be able to help you, Master. Adisha suddenly said to Jia Yan. Huh? Husband. Jia Yan was stunned for a moment, and then he knew that the so-called old master was the mysterious huge body he encountered on the mysterious star in the Chaos Star territory that day. The owner of this body has reached the point of 50 or 60 kilometers. Although it does not seem to be as huge as a galaxy level, nor as huge as the powerful God Emperor who is chasing him, even if he is facing the current Jia Yan, it is estimated that Jia Yan will not be able to defeat him. This kind of high-level star existence that has reached a certain extreme will probably have to wait until Jia Yan improves his strength before he can deal with it. Of course, this does not mean that Jia Yan cannot escape from the hands of such a creature. After all, he is still a lower-level star. Even if he is the top being in the lower level, he can't deal with creatures that have now reached the lower level. It's probably nothing. Regardless of whether Jia Yan can escape from this creature, even if he is asked to kill it, there may be a certain possibility. Overall, this senior creature must be extremely powerful. And what did such a creature actually leave behind for itself? Jia Yan knew that what they were talking about was not referring to him, but to his inheritance, passed on to the next generation, and Jia Yan just happened to be his next generation. Perhaps my subspace talent comes from this senior, so I want to pay some tribute to this senior. Jia Yan didn't talk about this senior creature in the past because Jia Yan's strength was insufficient before. But now, even with his strength, he still can't be called a bear in this world. But in the northern star field, or even more, he was able to call a bear even in a vast place where there were no galaxy-level infestations. In other words, his strength has reached a level where no force dares to move when he is truly in charge of one side. Therefore, the last words left by the senior to Adisha may not have been spoken until now. Of course, Jia Long didn't think that a creature that was just the pinnacle of a star could have much effect on him. After all, the seniors wouldn't have calculated that there would actually be a generational disciple of an evolved beast in the future. So after hearing this, Jia Yan smiled. Although he would go to see the mysterious star, he just thought of going back to commemorate his predecessors. Okay, now let me set off for the fleet. Let me take a look at the route forward. Jia Yan quickly took out the route map in his hand, then planned the route and sent the route map to all the ships. While Jia Yan handed over the road map, several of his subordinates were still comforting the creatures who had followed Jia Yan and others into the realm of the outside world. Don't worry, in this outside world, unless you explode the strength of your own spirit system, otherwise no one will know that you belong to the realm of spirits. In fact, if you look at these stellar powerhouses, if they don't release themselves, isn't the strength the same as that of the people in our divine realm? So you don't have to worry, the creatures in the divine realm are no different from the outside world in appearance, and some of them can even intermarry with each other. Several of Jia Yan's subordinates worked tirelessly to explain and comfort a group of creatures. Fortunately, most of the creatures who came with them agreed with this action and followed them out, so they were not too emotional. Moreover, many of them also knew that Lord Jia Yan, whom they had not met a few times, had definitely reached an extremely powerful level. Although they did not know that Jia Yan had just joined the 5 major powers in their spiritual domain. One of the God Emperors had a confrontation, but this did not prevent them from understanding that Jia Yan had fought with a group of top-level God Emperors before. You must know that they are a group of top-level God Emperors. Even if the biological strength of the outside world is stronger than that of the God Emperor, there are very few who can reach that level. In other words, when they follow Jia Yan, they don't have to worry too much about any danger. Let's not think so much. Let me tell you a secret, that is, Aunt La Longxi, no, Lady La Longxi told me that Lady Jia Yan will also teach us the new system. As long as we learn the new system, then if you want to be a cosmic creature, be a cosmic creature, and if you want to return to a divine realm creature, just restore to a divine realm creature. It's very magical, so this is our opportunity. Huh? There is such an opportunity. A female creature who should be a relative of Relancy, who looks very similar to Relancy, is announcing similar messages in battleships and spaceships. Because of her news, the creatures in the spacecraft all calmed down. That's right, this is the path they chose. In addition, with a leader as powerful as Jia Yan, and the possibility of learning more advanced cultivation methods, for them, the sense of crisis is not that strong. The fleet slowly set sail. However, after the fleet flew across the starry sky, Jia Yan still stayed in place, silently looking into the distance of the giant bear star territory, seeming to express his respect to the giant bear king who had helped him. Not long after, Jia Yan didn't know whether the other party received his respect, but he just slipped into the subspace from the sky without saying a word. In the subspace, an aircraft without any power was waiting silently. The Edisha no longer has the slightest ability to fly, and the subordinates inside are no longer riding on it, but gathered together in several large fleet battleships. Looking at the empty Edessa, Jia Yan seemed to think of his insignificant self back then, as well as the joy he felt when he first got this huge Edessa. Although he is still not much bigger than the Edessa, he has reached a body of 10 kilometers. If he opens his feet, he can easily hold the Edessa completely in his arms. In fact, this is what Jia Yan did. He held the broken body of the Edessa in his arms, and then activated his subspace talent. Edessa, I will wake you up. After what she said just now, Edessa also disappeared. I don't know if she was dead or something. Anyway, Jia Yan has thought about it, and Edessa must be rescued. This is already a feeling of Jia Yan, just like children will always like things from their childhood. Although Edessa is helping him now, the possibility is slim, but Jia Yan still values him extremely. Besides, who said that after the modification of the Edessa, it would not become a great help to Jia Yan again? In the subspace, even if Jia Yan moved quickly with such a huge iron shell, his speed was still not much slower than the slowly moving battleships and spacecraft outside. However, when a group of battleships and spaceships moves forward, there will be some kind of collective bonus. After a moment of acceleration, even Jia Yan could not help but speed up in the subspace, using a huge amount of energy. With strength, he slowly kept up with this huge fleet. Let me tell you, don't deviate from the route. In a normal universe, it may be a little difficult to navigate creatures in the realm of gods. However, as long as you have a good understanding of how to navigate the outside world, it should be easy to overcome the difficulties. Jia Yan still has a way to speak to the outside world in the subspace. It's my lord. In the battleship outside, Luo Longxi and other creatures listened carefully to Jia Yan's words. In their eyes, Jia Yan was initially a qualified leader and gradually became more and more prominent. Now they no longer think that Jia Yan is a qualified leader, which is not to say that Jia Yan is a qualified leader. Yan's leadership ability has become useless, but Jia Yan's personal strength is now so overwhelming that people ignore his leadership ability. So now they have gone through the orders that Jia Yan is giving out in their heads, and only after they find that there are no mistakes will they be sent down. After all, Jia Yan was pretty good to them. Even if sometimes, Jia Yan's orders were wrong and they corrected them, Jia Yan wouldn't be angry or anything. So to this day, they are a little bit shy about some of Jia Yan's orders. Question. And this is just where they are trying to show off for Jia Yan to see. That is, even if Jia Yan is good, there is still something they can do to help Jia Yan. Sir, are you going to go in a straight line like this? That's right, walk in a straight line. But sir, if you walk in a straight line, you need to go directly through 3 star fields. A fleet as large as ours will definitely attract the attention of those star fields. Haha, take a closer look. In these 3 star regions, besides ordinary galaxy level ones, are there any domain lords? Hey, it seems that there is no domain master, but ordinary galaxy level. Don't worry, follow my orders, the target is the northern star territory, move forward in a straight line. Yes, sir. Under Jia Yan's command, a group of warships and spaceships all moved forward in a straight line, quickly heading towards their final destination, the northern star territory. But what Jia Yan didn't know was that when he left the giant bear star territory, a gaze shot out from behind him. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1570. Hey, evolved beast. If Jia Yan could hear it, he would definitely find that the owner of this voice was actually the giant bear king who was talking to Jia Yan just now. However, the giant bear king at this time did not act like he didn't know Jia Yan, but he felt like he knew Jia Yan very well and even knew that he was an evolved beast. Perhaps to the powerful outsiders, an evolved beast is really a huge name. Flying in the universe, the surrounding scene is almost the same as in the realm of the gods, with darkness everywhere. During the long flight, the spaceships and warships accelerated more and more, and finally, with the help of some kind of force, they fell into the gap between subspace and normal space. These warships and spaceships actually broke through the speed of light, and even slowly compared with the speed of light is much faster. Originally, this was normal. Battleships and spaceships sailed long distances, but their original speed was definitely not that fast. But with the help of Jiayan's subspace, the speed of the battleship suddenly increased greatly. Jiayan himself, in the subspace, cleverly used the gravitational pulling effect of battleships and the like, and was pulled forward very delicately, so that the speed of both sides increased. Only adults can think of this exquisite method of controlling power. It's simply amazing. A group of subordinates here were extremely surprised by Jiayan's ability. After all, they thought that after arriving in the outside world, they might slowly fly to the places the adults mentioned. But Jiayan was actually helping their group fly, and he had used this method of flying to speed up both him and the Edissa in the subspace. This innovative flying method can be said to be extremely smart, and the speed on both sides will even reach incredible levels. It's a pity that we don't have subspace talent, otherwise we can help you. Several of his subordinates felt apologetic that even such a small rush required Jiayan's efforts, making it seem like they were of no use at all. Indeed, it was very difficult for Jiayan to carefully manipulate the external force in the subspace. In addition, the injuries on his body had not healed at all, so this feeling was even stronger. Fortunately, Jiayan slowly and completely digested the blood of the giant clan that he devoured, and then an astonishing sense of power exploded in his body. What a terrifying power! Even though I have some resistance to the blood of this giant family, it is still quite difficult. Jiayan felt that to him, the blood of the giant family was like a great treasure that was difficult to swallow and neutralize. There is also a pity, that is, the blood of the giant family in his hand is almost exhausted after rapid use. But these things are no longer insignificant to Jiayan. He slowly feels that if he wants to improve his strength in the future, he will no longer feel that he can improve his strength by casually using some energy substances. Especially some levels that are difficult for Jiayan to pass. It seems that no matter how much energy and material there is, it is impossible to break through easily. Is this the so-called level? It just so happens that in the future I will use this precious blood of the giant family to treat injuries or reward subordinates, so as not to waste it in vain. After Jiayan knew that the blood had almost no effect on improving his strength, he decided on their future use. Jiayan and the people in the spirit realm in the battleship group moved quickly. But even at such a fast speed, according to Jiayan's estimation, it would take at least a year or so to reach his first goal, which is the northern star field. After all, with his flying method, without using special acceleration methods, it is already extremely amazing that he can reach the northern star field in 1 year. The creatures of the great spiritual realm in the fleet, because they had already taken refuge in Jiayan, followed the trend, especially for Jiayan, their new leader. Under the leadership of some careful people, they gradually began to admire and respect Jiayan. The sense of identity is also increasing rapidly. Especially on one day, Luo Longxi asked Jiayan for his opinion. After getting the agreement, she was almost ecstatic and went to the spaceships and battleships everywhere. When she announced something to them, the entire fleet was shocked. Jiayan and the group led by Jiayan suddenly had a huge sense of identity. This opinion is that Luo Longxi wants to teach some people with good strength or talent in the fleet, Jiayan's yin and yang dao. Although this is something unique to Jiayan, Jiayan has no intention of keeping it to himself. Because no matter who wants to learn his yin and yang dao, it is impossible to reach his level, because the yin and yang dao itself relies on Jiayan's talent. It is not an evolved beast, nor does it have the power of yin and yang. It is absolutely impossible to surpass Jia Yan in this kind of thing, or even get close to him. Teaching others to learn Yin and Yang Tao is a more beneficial thing for Jia Yan. Even if it is troublesome at first, the teachings of his subordinates do not seem to have anything to do with Jia Yan himself. More importantly, Jia Yan relies entirely on his own exploration of Yin and Yang Dao. As long as others learn, especially weaker people, and the amount of learning increases, then various problems will be discovered, and then Jia Yan will be able to draw analogies. He continued to develop the Onmyedo that he already thought was good and made it even more perfect and powerful. This was an extremely beneficial thing for him, so how could he disagree? Luo Longxi and others also knew what Jia Yan was thinking, so they dared to ask such words. And precisely because of this, the ordinary creatures in the entire fleet have an unprecedented sense of identification with Jia Yan. Although some of them guessed Jia Yan's thoughts, this did not prevent them from being grateful to Jia Yan. You must know that among ordinary creatures, when the relationship is not good, who would teach other creatures their special skills in vain? What's more, if some of them were captured by other strong men and asked about some of the secrets of the system, wouldn't they reveal all Jia Yan's trump cards? This shows that Jia Yan no longer has so many barriers to them. Of course, what they don't know is that Jia Yan is essentially different from the ordinary beings who learn Yin and Yang Dao. Even if the Yin and Yang Dao that Jia Yan and these creatures learn is essentially similar to the principles, both parties after all, because of the gap between talent and strength, they are still a little different in nature. Therefore, it is a good way to use them to deepen your understanding and deepening of Yin and Yang Dao. We have to thank you for your generosity, otherwise we would definitely not be able to survive long in this outside universe. Just like the creatures in the universe will receive very unfair treatment after arriving in the realm of gods, the creatures in the realm of gods will also be discriminated against when they arrive in the outside world, or to put it more clearly, they will be directly killed. But after Luo Longxi and others explained Jia Yan's Yin and Yang Dao, especially after I demonstrated the effect of Yin and Yang Dao, allowing her to transform into the power of cosmic creatures, every creature in the divine realm was extremely shocked to understand this Yin and Yang. The horror of Tao. This is just a little bit of my Yin and Yang Dao. Its most powerful place lies in the conversion between the two forces. Your Excellency has walked on the path of conversion of the essence of Yin and Yang. Our talents cannot be as powerful as Your Excellency, so what we are embarking on is the transformation of Yin and Yang between the strong ones in the universe and the strong ones in the realm of gods. This prevents us from completely erasing our original strength in the early stage. Even in the future, when we practice to a high level, these two powers are not impossible. Slowly, through hard work, you will become a true Yin and Yang Dao. Luo Longxi and others have been working tirelessly. What they explained to the battleships and the creatures on the spaceships was almost a replica of what Jia Yan said, but each version had their own understanding, so at the beginning of this teaching, there was a school dispute. Jia Yan did not comment on this explanation in the subspace. After all, although each of his subordinates was not as strong as him, in terms of cultivation, Jia Yan might not have as much knowledge and insights as they did. Because they have lived for so many years, they must have been exposed to more principles of cultivation and other principles than Jia Yan. During the training process of this fleet, their fleet, which was flying through the space in a shocking way, also caused a wave of waves in the area it flew through at the same moment. What kind of fleet is this fleet? Damn it, if it wasn't sailing in the twisted subspace, it would have smashed our planet just now. Keep your voice down. We can't offend such a powerful fleet. Besides, they don't have any ill intentions. Forget it. You are so arrogant. If the adults of our star territory take action, they will definitely stop or take a detour, or they will die for us. Groups of creatures were cursing at the rapidly departing fleet on the road that Jia Yan and the others passed by. For other creatures, they have no idea what kind of flying method Jia Yan and the others used. they just feel that this fleet flies past their own planet or the home star field at such a fast speed. This definitely violates many conventions. Things. But everyone has flown by quickly, so what can you do? Expect the strong man in front to intercept? It's simply impossible. Anyone who curses usually knows that a fleet that can fly at such a speed will not be an easy creature to mess with, and if someone dares to fly in such a place or even crash into a planet, it proves that they have investigated the star field here. Only those who dare to do this would have no fear. Such beings are either the descendants of powerful people in this star field or people with high positions of authority, or they are super powerful people from other star fields. No matter what they are, they won't be simple things. So I scolded him, and I really wanted to do something, but I didn't. After all, apart from scaring myself, they didn't do any damage. Let them go aside. Those who have this kind of subspace talent can at least be achieved by star-level existences like me. In the several star fields they passed through, although there were no powerful territory lord-level experts, there were still galaxy and star-level existences. They had learned the news early, so after observing the spacecraft of Jia Yan and others, they unexpectedly know that in the subspace, there is a creature with extremely talented subspace, helping the fleet that does not look very similar to the star field to move forward. This makes people a little bit extravagant. After all, there seems to be no creature with subspace talent and such strength in the vast star field. So they thought that since the other party was not planning to cause any damage to the star field and was just passing by, they should just turn a blind eye. The fleet moved forward with a bang. Under the display of Jia Yan's strength, everyone along the way, whether they were star-level powerhouses or even galaxy-level beings, silently observed the battleship group he led, and then remained silent for a while and ignored them. Stand up. Although the galaxy-level experts are powerful, they don't just want to cause trouble. What's more, when Jia Yan felt that there was a galaxy-level powerhouse in front of him, he would take an unprecedented detour, and although this will cause a waste of energy, it is the right thing to avoid a galaxy-level being. This act of respect made the galaxy-level beings feel a little relieved. If Jia Yan really ignored their faces and dared to bump into them directly, then no matter how good-tempered they were, they would have to take action, otherwise they would lose face. Don't even know where to put it? The fleet is extremely fast. Taya Kingdom, this is a troubled northern star country. In this country, the majority of living creatures are a kind of creature called human beings. They were originally just a race that wandered into the star field from the outside world hundreds of thousands of years ago, and there have always been several branches. Some of them perished, and some of them were scattered. The kingdom of Taya and so-called human beings have always become a kind of half-dead scene. But today is different from the past. Taya Kingdom didn't know what method it used, but it actually caught up with an extremely powerful creature. It seems that when this creature showed its face for the last time, it killed the stellar powerhouse that was almost legendary in this northern star field. It can be seen that the person behind the Taya Kingdom is also an extremely powerful person. Stellar level powerhouse. With the help of that creature, Taya Kingdom finally united with the human compatriots of the two major races who had been separated from them for who knows how many years in the northern star field. Moreover, there are rumors that Taya Kingdom has actually contacted the planet where human beings were born, which is Taya Kingdom's mother planet. You must know that they are outsiders who came to the star field hundreds of thousands of years ago, and now that they have contacted the mother star, doesn't it mean that the civilization of the mother star is extremely powerful? No one knows whether there is a powerful backer called the mother star behind the Taya Kingdom, and they all take the rising Taya Kingdom seriously. Reborn as an interstellar giant Mosquito author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1571. Of course, what other countries don't know is that the mother planet behind Taya is actually weaker than Taya, and is simply a rudimentary civilization. That's right, the so-called mother planet is the Earth. As for the civilization of the Earth, it is true that recently, due to the opening of the distant passage, it has had long-term contact with the Pacific Kingdom here. There are even frequent diplomatic teams coming to the planet here through that passage to conduct negotiations with the Pacific Kingdom. Trading. However, because the passage also requires huge energy support, the people and goods that can be exchanged are extremely high-end. For a period of time, there were only a few dozen people coming from the Earth. This caused the two sides to still not understand each other even after several years. After all, there had been no communication between the two sides for hundreds of thousands of years. It was not only a matter of language, but also culture and certain consciousnesses able to understand each other. On the contrary, several human races from Tadia Kingdom quickly merged together. Although they have not been in contact for a long time, and some of them were even enemies in ancient times, because they have been the same for so many years, in this land of the Northern Star Territory, they suffered the same discrimination, so they quickly integrated together. Originally, if the cooperation between the Pacific Kingdom and the Earth or several races continues slowly, one day a better way of communication will be discovered. Even the channel may use more mature technology to slowly expand and become a very stable path of communication between the two parties. But all of this was destroyed at a certain point in time after the arrival of a group of stellar powerhouses. Each of these stellar powerhouses has reached an incredible level of power. After they arrived in Tadia Kingdom, they directly asked them about Jia Yan's whereabouts. If they couldn't tell them, the killing would begin. In this northern star field, no one dared to touch the Pacific Kingdom anymore, but because of the appearance of this group of stellar powerhouses, that group was originally dissatisfied with the rapidly rising power of the Pacific Kingdom. The beings all started to make moves. Of course, they have never been very optimistic about the country of Tadia. Especially the creature that the country relies on is just a being that often appears in the country of Tadia and disappears from time to time. They are just because they are afraid of that kind of creature. Possibly, I had just bowed to a small force like Thai Asia country before. But things are different now. A group of star-level powerhouses appear. You must know that everyone here is a Star Junior. Some people even vaguely feel that some of them are more than Star Juniors at all. So even if that Jia Yan returns, he dares to start a battle with so many beings of the same level or even surpassing him because of a little humiliation from Tadia Kingdom. Totally impossible. So they started adding insult to injury. Even though they knew that it was impossible for them to fight against Jia Yan, if Jia Yan found out that they were causing trouble behind his back, there would definitely be a disaster. After all, Jia Yan couldn't deal with a group of star-level powerhouses, but he could deal with a group of countries without star-level existences. It's still relatively simple. But they think that as long as they act relatively cleanly, nothing will happen. So Tadia, a country that had been prosperous before, began to change. Your Majesty, the Red Blood country previously promised us a trade agreement, but now it actually says that the stellar powerhouse wants to investigate their trade with us and interrupts our trade channel. A minister came to the main hall where Kama was in a panic. Let them go, it's just a trade agreement, don't we have nothing to do now? Although she is tall, if you don't look at the size, but only look at the proportions, she is definitely a beautiful girl. She is sitting on the throne, looking a little tired and speaking. Kama has heard similar remarks and things about the building being about to collapse countless times recently. But this time the minister was obviously not so calm. But Your Majesty, the trade between the Red Blood country and us controls most of our country's energy. If they reach a trade agreement, the energy replacement project that has just been launched in our country will be stopped. You must know that this involves our country. An agreement on the jobs and futures of almost 10% of young people will cause civil unrest. This. Kama couldn't help but lose his composure. Pacific Asia has indeed become more prosperous over the years, especially trade agreements. As long as they want it, no country dares to refuse it. Even in the beginning, they even signed a lot of unequal agreements proudly. Although they returned to normal due to self-reflection in the later period, and even took the initiative to destroy several unequal agreements, they have already gained a bad reputation in the Northern Star territory, and some countries are even ready. If the so-called Jia after Yan does not support this country, he will take action against Taia country. It was indeed once prosperous, but that was the glory of the past. Recently, because of the group of adults who came, Taia kingdom was finally like an ant that was overwhelmed in an instant, with no resistance at all. Even after the arrival of the group of stellar powerhouses, the entire Taia kingdom, from Kama down to the common people, did not dare to complain at all. Your Majesty, why don't we just talk about Lord Jia Yan's mother planet? The minister hesitated for a while and spoke hesitantly. Shut up. When Karma heard this, his demeanor changed suddenly and he shouted loudly. She knew that the minister wanted to tell the story about the mother planet or the Earth. Although they didn't know how much Jia Yan valued the Earth, when they learned that there was a Jia family on the Earth, Kama used Jia Yan's name and the rumor that Jia Yan called the Jia family's parents, I vaguely guessed something. After all, for people on Earth, it is very mysterious for an ordinary person to switch races, but for the creatures in the universe, it is not so surprising. So they seemed to have thought of something. That group of stellar beings seemed to be following Jia Yan's footsteps. Although they don't know what their purpose is, they must have some ill intentions towards Master Jia Yan. Now they have not come up with any plans to attack Jia Yan. Sir, there is some unfavorable news, but the information they have about the mother planet is a huge piece of information. Maybe by telling them, their Taia kingdom will resolve this crisis in an instant, and may even go a step further and win the favor of this group of stellar powerhouses. But Kama didn't hesitate at all and directly stopped the matter. She put aside her feelings for Jia Yan for the time being, and only said that Jia Yan's strength was gradually improved to the star-level existence he had at the end of the last meeting under Karma's observation step by step. You know, within a few decades, evolutionary beasts have hit the stellar level. If you carefully inquire about the evolutionary beasts, you will know how unbelievable this race is. There are still rumors in the universe. As long as the evolved beast clan reaches the star level, it will be unstoppable in its rise. As luck would have it, Jia Yan has already reached stellar level. Then he is unstoppable. So Kama didn't even think about it. Even from the perspective of the king of a country, he knew that this kind of thing should not be joked about. Since those group of star-level existences have not yet started to kill his Taia kingdom, then just put it off as long as you can. She believed that it was not the time for Boss Jia Yan to return yet. When he returned, all the situations and troubles in front of her would be solved. Of course, Kama is also prepared for a long war, because even if she believed in Jia Yan, she would not think that he would be able to deal with a group of star-level strength so quickly. I estimate that among these star-level existences, there are experts at the mid-level star level. Even if the boss is very talented, he will probably just reach the mid-level star level at the soonest. No, I can't think that he can be so perfect. Reaching the top of junior level is something to be thankful for. After thinking about it, Karma felt that she was thinking too much. If Jia Yan's strength did not improve so quickly, she thought that it would be better if Jia Yan could not come back so soon. After all, his current strength is definitely not as good as a group of stars. Oh, the boss is not happy to come back, and I am not happy if he doesn't come back. I don't even know what I think. Karma's mood changed a bit when he thought of the giant mosquito creature. There is no one else in this hall. If there were anyone, they would definitely be shocked, because in the past, they have become more and more like a girl of Her Majesty the Queen, but at this moment, they showed a trace of the attitude of a little girl. It's a pity that falling flowers are intentional and flowing water is ruthless. Jia Yan also knows Kama's thoughts about Jia Yan, but he will never have any feelings for this woman. After all, there is already a troublesome woman in the family. Now, if he provokes another one now, he won't be so stupid. So under such circumstances, Taya Kingdom has slowly fallen into a new round of turmoil these days. In particular, a group of people who had no jobs and no welfare, instigated by some external forces, took to the streets, saying that Her Majesty the Queen was preventing this country from achieving prosperity, and that Her Majesty the Queen was stubborn. Otherwise, this country would not have provoked a group of stellar powerhouses. All in all, Kama was asked to explain everything about Master Jia Yan to the group of stellar powerhouses who were coming. It is better to let the stars to resolve matters among the stars themselves. They are a small country of Taya. To the strong stars at the star level, they are like a small country that will be destroyed by blowing a breath. How can you get involved in the fish pond? Speaking of which, this is actually the case. If Kama hadn't thought that he still had some confidence, he might have confessed Jia Yan long ago. But she also had her own persistence. Even though she knew that there was nothing wrong with the people making trouble, she still used the police and other means to drive these people back home. Fortunately, she did not issue an order to attack, and ordinary people, as long as there is no force value, then it is simply childish in front of the capable police, so no casualties were caused, and the matter was resolved like this. Not far away from the capital planet of Taya, a group of warships docked on the star. It's strange. Faced with such a situation, the Queen is still not moved at all. Could it be that she doesn't know the news about Jia Yan at all? It's definitely not right. Since Jia Yan has been to Taya Kingdom several times and has a good personal relationship with the Queen, it makes no sense that she doesn't even know a little bit of Jia Yan's personal information or his direction. That's right, let's wait carefully, or give her a move to kill 1 or 2 planets, maybe she will say it. Forget it, we came here for the reason of visiting the genius battlefield. If we do such a thing in the sphere of influence of this genius battlefield, although the small country will not cause any backlash, but if someone uses this as an excuse to attack us, then we are unreasonable. This group of star-level creatures did not dare to attack because they had no reason to attack. Of course, for ordinary star-level experts, there is no need to care about ordinary life, or even the life and death of an ordinary planet. But the identities of these star-level beings are a bit sensitive, so they have no reason to attack any planet or country in the northern star field. Because they are not native to the northern star territory, or to this vast star territory. They came from a full 10,000 light-years away. This place is called the Stellar Academy. That's right, they are exactly the group of stellar powerhouses who have been chasing Jia Yan for a long time in the Stellar Academy and Stellar Battle territory. After being killed by Jia Yan, this group of strong men finally drove Jia Yan into the realm of the gods. It's just that other creatures think that this Jia Yan is definitely dead. After all, a creature of the cosmic system has entered the realm of gods. How can there be any reason to come out alive? But what they didn't know was that the strongest among them, Wuda, who had reached the mid-level strength of a star, not even the middle-level strength of an ordinary star, didn't think so. Although Jia Yan is not very strong, his various methods and fighting abilities are too strong, otherwise we would not let him go. So we need to pay attention to him, and even when he can come out of the great realm of gods alive at all. How is it possible? You have to know that it is the realm of the gods. For the creatures in our universe system, it is like a Jedi-like place. How can you come out alive? Shut up, and do as I say. We will investigate his hometown and other information now, and then set off directly to investigate him. Maybe we can intercept him before he reaches a higher level of strength. Kill. Following Wu Da's words, a group of subordinates and creatures came towards the direction of Taya Kingdom. What they didn't expect was that not long after their arrival, the being they were waiting for really returned. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1572. The technological creatures in the universe have developed extremely powerful flying tools, but these tools are too expensive. Generally speaking, flying tools are only used for navigation or trade at very close distances. Of course, the extremely close mentioned here also reaches dozens or even hundreds of light years away. As for going farther, you need a very powerful way of flying. Otherwise, it would take several generations to just go 1,000 light years away, which would be too much. But this group of stars who came to Taya Kingdom were fighting with Jiayan in the star battlefield. After the battle, they set off to come to the genius battlefield here. After knowing Jiayan's status in the star domain, they believed that even if they came to the star domain in the name of communication, the Stellar Academy and even other major forces would not have any idea of taking action against them. The reputation and fear of the evolved beast clan here is even more serious. As far as these stellar creatures know, even in the stellar academic field, a high-level executive who wants to solve Jiayan's serious problem has to do it. Existed, so through the senior management, the approval procedures for them to come in were easily approved. But when they arrived near the Stellar Academy, they did not go directly to the communication. Instead, they stopped at the Northern Star Territory, because apart from the Northern Star Territory, the creatures in the Stellar Academy at most knew that Jiayan seemed to be from it comes from a remote place thousands of light years away from the field of stellar science. Even the field of stellar science has not investigated more information. In short, coming here to investigate Jiayan is what this group of Jiayan chasing teams are doing. The best situation is to encounter Jiayan again here, although other pursuers are afraid of being attacked by Jiayan again. Killing ruthlessly, but that Wuda didn't think so. He believes that his strength definitely has a certain advantage against Jiayan, and he has already thought of the best way to deal with Jiayan's subspace talent. As long as he attacks with all his strength without holding back, Jiayan will definitely die. I just don't know how long it will take if we keep waiting like this before Jiayan appears again. In the starry sky somewhere in Taya Kingdom, Wuda silently observed the dark starry sky around him, but his mind was completely focused on the past of chasing Jiayan. This Jiayan's strength is improving too fast. But even if his previous improvement speed was fast, the star level is not another level after all. If he wants to upgrade to a higher level, he will definitely need more time. I don't believe it. He who has just been promoted to the mid-level star can still fight against someone like me who is far beyond the average mid-level star. As a strong man in the field of stellar learning, Wuda is extremely confident in his own strength. In the previous pursuits, it was all because of Jiayan's cunning, or because of some of his unique skills, such as this time-space talent, etc., escaped from the palm of his hand. Wuda felt that he should not be so pessimistic, but should sum up the experience of dealing with Jiayan. Instead of fighting a protracted battle with him next time, it would be better to directly attack him when he encounters him. Use the strongest attack to kill it. In this case, his mission can be completed, and the humiliation caused by Jiayan's several counter-attacks on his subordinates can be saved, which is the best of both worlds. Now let's see if he shows up. Wuda thought silently. Just when Wuda and other creatures were doing such useless work with no idea whether it would have any effect, a gleaming shadow of a ship had already flown across the farthest boundary of the Northern Star Territory, and directly broke into the north from a distant place. The starry sky of the star field. The Northern Star Territory actually has its own superiors. Although this star territory is relatively close to the genius battlefield, so many geniuses go here as a transit point, it actually belongs to the territory of another star's high-level powerhouse. And just before the ship Shadow arrived, this high-level stellar being had already received the news that they would come. Any strong man would be wary of such an approaching fleet, especially since there seemed to be extremely powerful creatures on it. And at the same time that the huge ship Shadow arrived in the northern star territory, they, who had been moving forward quickly, actually quickly slowed down their acceleration. On this side of the border of the northern star territory, there are 3 star-level beings, including even a high-level star powerhouse, silently observing the direction of the shadow of the huge fleet. It is said that this fleet came all the way like this. Even within the range of intelligence we can receive, we don't know where their starting point is. With such a fast speed, it is probably not possible for them to travel through tens of thousands of light years in a year. It's just terrible. 10,000 light years? How is it possible? The fastest aircraft we have heard of here, and the top specifications that reach 10,000 light years, will take 3 or 4 years to achieve such a thing. Well, this kind of flying method is unheard of, but I guess it's just an experimental model launched outwards from some star field hundreds or thousands of light years away, I guess. I hope they will fly directly from our star field like the previous one, saving us trouble. That's right, this kind of shocking flying method will definitely not be a simple existence. It would be better to have less trouble. Several star-level powerhouses all have subordinates. They are a galaxy-level being who leads this large starry sky. Of course, there are many subordinates of galaxy-level beings. This lower-level star-level creature, and his group of star-level subordinates are just the parts that are not taken seriously, so they still have to rely on themselves for everything. When several star-level people all felt that it would be better to leave the matter alone, the creature from the lower-level star was suddenly stunned. Because he saw that when he fully expected the shadow of the fleet to quickly pass through his territory, what happened was contrary to expectations. This huge shuttle fleet actually slowly stopped speed. No, it shouldn't be said to be slow, because it flew out of an extremely fast subspace, and its speed suddenly dropped below the speed of light. This slowing down speed can even be described as extremely fast. What? They actually want to stop this. All the stars were stunned. What should we do? It's impossible. This huge super fleet is said to have traveled at least hundreds of light years without stopping, but it actually stopped in a remote corner like ours. And it's remote among the remote. This northern star territory is just a small corner in the place we command, and it actually stops here. What should we do? Several stellar subordinates were extremely worried about the huge stopped fleet. Don't think so much. If the person who comes here has any ill intentions, let's act according to the situation. On the other hand, the leader of the lower-level stellar powerhouse felt that he had been in a high position for a long time. His calm words made a group of subordinates feel like I'm breathing a lot of breath. After all, the extremely fast fleet put too much pressure on them. Huh? Although the style of the ships in this fleet is different from our warships, no matter how you look at it, based on their propulsion and shell and other data, it is impossible for them to fly at that speed. A group of stars, after seeing clearly the appearance of the approaching fleet, all had strange expressions. Because the group of battleships and spaceships that were clearly moving very fast just now were clearly seen by others, and they realized that their appearance was actually so terrible. You must know that battleships and spaceships are generally like the ancient sports cars on Earth. The more powerful ones will be slightly different in appearance and sound. The same is true for battleships. Although the sound cannot be heard, the appearance you can probably still judge the grade. The coming fleet is actually very ordinary. It should even be said that some of them are just ordinary commercial spaceships, without even combat capabilities. Such aircraft, even if the group flight mode is turned on, and the engines are turned on until they explode, it can't be that much faster than the speed of light. Just when a group of star-level beings were suspicious, there was a voice beside them. Guys, I wonder what it means to be on the side of the fleet I'm leading. The sound seemed to be ringing in their ears, and it was obvious that the person coming was already very close to them. Who? How come there are so many people coming to us without us noticing? Several stars, including the one from the lower class of stars, felt their scalps go numb at this moment. In an instant of fright, one star struck suddenly towards the place where the sound came from. And go. But his attack fell directly into the air, and did not attack the incoming person at all. In other words, the incoming person has not revealed his figure until now. Don't do it. Are you the leader of that fleet? Suddenly, the lower-level star creature stopped his subordinates who were about to continue to police, and then looked towards a certain subspace. The place he looked at was clearly the place where the speaking creature was hiding in the subspace just now. Seeing that he saw his own shape, the creature was not surprised at all. He just smiled, and gradually, his figure emerged from the universe. Its body seems to be made of water, emerging bit by bit from the northern scene of the universe. This was the first time for several star-level experts to see a creature appear like this, and they felt the cold air rushing straight to their foreheads. Subspace talent? How come I have never heard of such a level of subspace talent? No, I heard recently that there are relatively strong subspace creatures. Could it be him? The creature from the back end of the star suddenly thought of something. The other star-level experts were not fools either. When he thought about it, they also suddenly thought of this. Could it be Your Excellency Jia Yan? After feeling it for a while, the huge creature that appeared in front of him had the same strength as himself. This stellar back level thought that if the other party was the one he thought about, then he would not dare to really regard it as a person who was the same as himself. An ordinary late-level star creature. Oh? You know me? The huge black creature seemed a little surprised. The appearance of this creature is exactly that of a huge mosquito with slender mouthparts, and its strength is firmly at the lower level of a star. Yes, this is Jia Yan. He seemed to be much stronger than when he left the divine realm. After all, this is a long period of time on a distant voyage, a full year. If he hadn't always had to take into account the half-space flying methods of a group of ships from the outside world, maybe his strength would have improved even faster in this year. Even Jia Yan himself vaguely felt that after the so-called evolved beasts reached the star level, they were almost unstoppable. It became increasingly difficult for others to reach the star level, but he became more and more difficult. Smoothly, at least the amount of strength he gets stronger every day is equivalent to the strength of a respected level expert. You must know that this is a respected level. It is indeed Lord Jia Yan. When the creature from the lower level of the star heard Jia Yan's admission, his attitude changed instantly, and he even called Jia Yan Master Jia Yan. Because he knew that the person in front of him was an evolved beast, and he also knew the meaning of an evolved beast reaching the lower stage of the star. Recently, countless people have felt frightened by the appearance of this existence. Sir, I wonder if you came back from this trip to Shiyuan to find Her Majesty the Queen of Taia Kingdom in the Northern Star Territory. This stellar being actually investigated Jia Yan's past and revealed whether he was looking for Taia Kingdom. He was afraid that Jia Yan would say something wrong. If not, then there may be a war. He can't guarantee whether the star-level people present now can stop Jia Yan. After all, this creature's past is too glorious, even if he doesn't know that the evolved beast has been upgraded to will the late-level stars be able to easily possess powerful leap-level combat capabilities as before? Judging from Jia Yan's past performance and the rumors of evolved beasts, he thinks it is very likely. There is even a slight possibility that they will lose. Yes, I just came to visit my friends, but I wonder what they are here for? Are they here to welcome us? Jia Yan is very strange. His warship has traveled through so many star fields, but no one has such a large formation to greet them. No, sir, although we have some idea of coming to see your fleet, our more important idea is to monitor some guests from the Stellar Academy. No, outsiders, Sir Jia Yan, they seem to have come to Taia to find you. Huh? Are they from the Stellar Academy? Or are they here to find me? Could they be my old friends? Have they caused any damage in Pacific Asia? Jia Yan was stunned and asked quickly. In Jia Yan's opinion, there is no one else but the team that is chasing him for the stellar domain creature that would come to a land of thousands of light years like Tadia to look for him. And the investigation into Pacific Asia? That won't work. Jia Yan still needs Tadia Kingdom to help him repair the Edissa. No, Master Jia Yan, these people from the Stellar Academy may be concerned about your reputation and dare not destroy Tadia Kingdom. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1573. That's good. When Jia Yan heard this creature from the lower class of stars, he said that the coming stars from the stellar realm had not caused any harm to the Tadia Kingdom, so he let out a long breath. If something unexpected happened to Tadia Kingdom, he wouldn't feel bad at all. At most, he would feel a little unworthy for Kama. After all, he didn't have many friends. Of course, the more important thing is that he will not be able to use the Pacific Kingdom to rebuild the Edissa, and if he wants to find a suitable technological civilization, it will be difficult. Because the science involved is not that other civilizations or technological countries cannot complete it, but whether they have an understanding of the Edissa, a warship that involves subspace, or whether they have any knowledge of the Edissa's previous data. There will be no understanding. This is something that is difficult for Jia Yan to say. Another more important reason is that Jia Yan doesn't trust others very much. Perhaps it would be easier for him now to find a country with the same technology as Tadia country, or a place with technology that far exceeds that of Tadia country. But does he trust other places? Impossible. Therefore, Tadia Kingdom is necessary, even if his personal relationship with Kama is put aside. Well, if Mr. Jia Yan really wants to return to Tadia Kingdom, I would like to advise you not to cause any big trouble here. The lower-level star creature, after seeing Jia Yan's expression changed a little, quickly said with a smile, I don't have many selfish motives, but as a star-level being, you should not know that we always the destructive power of a star, right? If you and that group of creatures fight inside Tadia Kingdom, will the planets of Tadia Kingdom and the like be destroyed? No one can say, and I don't want to see it. To this kind of thing, right? Jia Yan then sneered slightly, hey, Your Excellency, you should be the commander of this area or something, but you are right, I don't want to cause any damage to Tadia Kingdom, of course, even if it's not that easy for them to cause damage. I believe this, but things can happen just in case. In this way, my lord, I will ask a few of them to come out. When they reach the empty starry sky area, you can use it. Oh? Your Excellency, do you have any reason for helping me like this? If not, why should I trust you? Facing Jia Yan's half-smiling demeanor, this creature of the lower class of the star cursed in his heart, but could only apologize. The more Jia Yan forced him, the more he knew that Jia Yan really looked down on a star like him. If it were another creature, he would have taken action long ago, even if the opponent was also a lower-level star. Both parties are at the lower level of stars, and the other party is a being who has just stepped into the lower level of stars. What is he afraid of? But if you switch to the evolved beast, it's completely different. The evolved beast race is too impressive. Even before Jia Yan appeared, most people didn't understand the evolved beast race at all. After all, it has disappeared for almost 20 years. After 10,000 years, such a powerful person suddenly appears. Of course, it will arouse people's imagination, and even more people will want to carefully study everything about the evolved beast. This late star probably didn't put much effort into this kind of thing, because he had long known that Jia Yan, the evolutionary beast, had a good relationship with the Tadia Kingdom under his rule, so he investigated a lot. So he had some guesses about Jia Yan's information and the level of strength that Jia Yan might achieve. So he didn't dare to get angry. Is that so? Well, just go and lure these creatures out. Thank you, Your Excellency. Jia Yan silently observed the creature in front of him, knowing that this guy seemed to be frightened by him, so he smiled even more in his heart. Okay, I'll go right away. Although the Northern Star territory is said to be a small place, it is actually not that small. It is several light years in size. However, for the fleet led by Jia Yan now, these few light years are just the aftermath of using power. Can go through quickly. So the fleet led by Jia Yan finally arrived outside Taia Kingdom half a month later. Here, nothing seems to have changed in Taia. Hey, it seems like that planet has changed a bit. It's good. It's been developed. Jia Yan remembered that a certain external planet in the Pacific Kingdom was originally a stronghold used to fight against foreign enemies when the war started. The last time Jia Yan was in the Pacific Kingdom to help Kama restore the country, he was also here with the original government troops. Fighting. But now this original military planet has actually become a planet with a sense of development. What he doesn't know is that these things have developed because of his existence, because today's Taia country does not need the concept of a border at all, and most countries will give Taia country some face. Even if they don't give face, the current national strength of the Ada Kingdom is estimated to be crushed to death by the current main enemies with one finger. So even if there are some military structures, they are useless. Simply turn this precious waste of land into a border trade star. After Jia Yan and others saw the prosperity on this planet, they all felt a little surprised at the development of this place. Through Jia Yan's words, others probably knew what kind of place this country was. They thought that such a border they were allowed to live in the creatures from the great realm of the gods, but they did not expect that this would be the case. No, there are very few life forms on this planet. Luo Longxi suddenly said these words in a battleship. Sure enough, when others turned their attention because of her words, they saw that there were very few living entities on this planet, and some were even flying away in spaceships. They don't know that the country of their friends that Jia Yan said is on the verge of destruction. Even if most people don't know it, there are so many stars lingering in the starry sky. Of course, they always can be detected. So now most of them are running away. Let's wait here. We'll be stationed first. After a while, maybe an old friend will come over to meet us. Then you guys can just practice your skills. Jia Yan said lightly. He had known about this situation for a long time. After the powerful creature from the lower level of the star just said such words to him, he was slowly adjusting his state. Prepare for a good fight. However, he also knew that it would not be enough if it were just those strong men from the stellar academic field who once chased him. He only hoped that the opponent would have one or two more lower-level stellar beings, or top-notch beings, to make it more interesting. If not, just let his subordinates go up and play with them, otherwise with his current strength and status, he would feel a little bit lost in his identity by fighting those guys. The star's high-level biological powerhouse had arrived in Taia Kingdom ahead of Jia Yan and the others, and their purpose was to deceive the group of creatures out. Jia Yan didn't know what method he used, so he just waited. In fact, the method of doing that group of star-level existences was much simpler than Jia Yan imagined, and it was really in his name. Less than 30,000 kilometers away from the capital of Taia, there is a large battleship in the starry sky. This kind of battleship is a one-man battle. Each one is 20 or 30 kilometers in size, which is no worse than the Aditha. Moreover, this behavior of staying near the capital of other countries is like controlling this country, but no one in Taia Kingdom dares to say anything, or even if they do not stay in Taia Kingdom, traveling a few light years away, this kind of existence, if anyone says a word, Taia Kingdom will disappear or disappear. The people of Taia Kingdom didn't know that these foreign star-level beings would come from far-away places. They didn't dare to spread the influence of this genius battlefield and kill ordinary lives wantonly. If you ask me, go directly to the Taia Kingdom and arrest this female majesty. You can find out by just asking. Why are you waiting here? Yes, according to the information I know, the Taya Kingdom seems to have mastered some very powerful subspace utilization plan, and it seems to be connected to Jia Yan's hometown. As long as we find out the location of that hometown, we will. Don't worry, there is no way to threaten Jia Yan. In this powerful battleship, each powerful creature is expressing his or her own opinions. Their strength is mostly that of star-level powerhouses. In fact, creatures that are not star-level powerhouses dare not speak in meetings with powerhouses of this level. There are all Earth dogs under the stars. This is the prevailing law in the universe. Of course, if this sentence is spoken by a strong person at the galaxy level, it will be the same, but if it is spoken by a territory lord, they will definitely say that all the territory lords are local dogs. So everything depends on your own strength. But determine the head. This situation is the same wherever it is placed in the universe. Sir, the leader of this small star field is here. Huh? The leader of this small star field, he is a senior with a stellar back level. Let's go out and greet him. Outside these warships, several warships suddenly flew over quickly, and a group of star-level powerhouses docked here quickly went out to greet them. Didn't we deal with the leader of this small star field the last time we came here? Why are you coming to us now? I don't know. Anyway, we have dealt with the genius battlefield and even the big leader of the star field. The little leader here shouldn't have any ill intentions when he comes. Wudo was very curious, what was going on with this so-called little leader. As a creature who is known as a strong communication expert in the stellar academic domain, he does not have much communication with powerful creatures in ordinary places. This time, he also asked for help from the genius battlefield. Some strong men came to trouble Jia Yan. Since he already had a hand metaphor, why did the little leader come to find them? Is there something you want to tell us? How is it possible? This is a creature of the lower level of the star. In terms of strength, he is only higher than me. If he wants to tell us something, why would he come here in person? He should send one of his subordinates here. That's right. Wu Da's demeanor was a bit solemn. Because the two sides had met once, when the huge warships arrived, Wu Da led a group of subordinates here to greet them happily. I absolutely cannot match this old guy's strength. Wu Da looked at the low-level star powerhouse in front of him with a solemn expression, because he felt the extremely surging power of the powerhouse from his body. In terms of the total amount of power, he was absolutely inferior to him. This is the difference between the middle-level stars and the lower-level stars. Even if Wuda is an extremely outstanding existence in the middle-level stars, it is still impossible for him to be hostile to the most ordinary lower-level stars. So there is such a huge difference between stellar levels. I guess that the lower stellar levels are still at least more than 100 years away. This is already an extremely fast speed. I think that even if the person who is said to be extremely talented Jia Yan, no matter how fast he reaches the post-stellar stage, it will be 10 years later, so our time is only about 10 or 30 years. If it exceeds 30 years, I think he has already reached the post-stellar stage. At that time, even if I wanted to chase him, I would definitely be killed by him. Wudo was very helpless. He had been chasing Jia Yan for so long. He already knew very well the shocking terror of an evolved beast. When he first started chasing, Jia Yan had just reached the star level not long ago, but later on, when he first entered the star level, he developed by leaps and bounds in an instant, first in the stable stage, then it reached the peak, and then passed the mid-level star barrier in one fell swoop. For Wuda, seeing this is like seeing a myth. But even with such a myth, it is impossible for him to reach the lower level of stars that he dare not imagine in a short period of time. Therefore, he has great respect for a true lower-level stellar creature. Haha, you guys are so lucky to be here in the Northern Star Territory. In fact, I have something to do this time, so I stopped by to see you. The lower-level stellar being smiled and talked lightly. Huh, Don't you just want to spy on us? Behind Wuda, a primary star creature suddenly sneered. Don't be rude to this leader. Wuda quickly stopped his words, and then apologized to the little leader with a smile. No need to fake it. I also know that you don't welcome me here, and I really came to see if you are destroying my northern star region. Now it seems that you are doing a good job. I will leave now. The high-level leader creature of the star seemed to really want to leave after seeing that they didn't make a big fuss in the northern star field. However, after saying these words, he seemed to have thought of something and turned around. By the way, you seem to be investigating Jia Yan's intelligence, right? Have you heard that a fleet has been rampaging recently? I received intelligence before that this fleet is Jia Yan's fleet, and we are about to arrive at my northern star territory. Guys, I am planning to go there and see who this Jia Yan is. If you want to see him too, why don't you come with me? What? Jia Yan? He finally showed up.